My dad made me choose one of the 10 goddesses to marry. This video is purely for entertainment and does not violate copyright or laws. The rights to the novel and the image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Chapter 601. Everything you said is correct. Do you still want to sleep? Don't you know something so big happened? Kailing hasn't calmed down yet. The destruction of the Dragon Palace was probably Fen Lin's work. I've already dealt with this matter. I've got it. Doug smiled slightly at Dawn. Who do you think it is? Kailing asked. I also think it is Fen Lin. I heard that among the 3 people who attacked the Dragon Palace, there was a lame man. Doug Elixir recalled. I remember that there was also a lame man in the Dead Knight. I mean, the lame man in the Dead Knight, stronger than Long Hao. Were you kidding? Kailing didn't believe it. Since he knew that Fen Lin was Dr. Death, he had researched a lot of news about death. Evening. His mission level, from the beginning, has been controlled in the realm of divine resonance and acuity. That is to say, it will gradually move towards completion in the later stage. But about 10 months after the execution, they found a traitor. That's Liu. Dead Knight later disbanded. If the cripple was so strong, why would he play house with these brats? Haha, that's a good thing, but I still think that this matter has something to do with Fen Lin. Doug Elixir smiled flatly and said, maybe Fen Lin and Intangible have connected. You are really relaxed, Fen Lin. Since I can take care of the Dragon Palace, I will take care of you after you recover. Kailing looked at Doug Elixir solemnly. In his opinion, Doug Elixir's combat power was about the same as Long Hao. Since Fen Lin dared to break into Long Hao's base camp and kill him, he should do the same against Doug Elixir. There's nothing I can do. I'm about to go to bed. Fen Lin is so powerful. I heard that the Empress is on his side. Doug Elixir couldn't help but laugh. Where did you find out about this? Kailing's eyes gradually narrowed. She was still struggling with whether or not to tell Doug Elixir and Fen Lin's relationship with him. That day, the Purple Key Court changed leaders and invited some bigwigs. Fen Lin sneered at the soldier leader on the spot. Doug Elixir paused and said, the soldier master naturally wanted to kill him, but Fen Lin was rescued by the Empress. Kailing curled her hair in thought. She had also heard talk about the Purple King. But at that time, she was trying to break through the realm and didn't care about this. What are you going to do? Kailing asked. Take one step at a time and watch. How's it going? The ship will be straight when it reaches the bridge. Dr. Pajao did not panic. He raised the corner of his mouth and said, it's no big deal, I'll join in. Wujian. Wujian. Kailing looked surprised, and actually forgot about Dr. Pajao's words. A trump card. It operates many things behind the scenes. On the surface, he is not an awful person. The last time he snatched the guard's eye, he did it himself and killed the bad guys at Jialand. His name has always been at the top of the list. Obviously I also hope that he joins Wujian. Fen Lin is also a member of the country. If Doug joins Wujian in the morning, even if he had grievances in his heart, he would not take action. I see, so this is what you rely on. Kailing shook his head slightly, remembering that Wujian's headquarters was in Yanjing. It's just a few steps away. If Fen Lin really comes to kill him and Doug escapes to the headquarters at dawn, there will definitely be nothing he can do. Now it seems that Kailing has to worry about himself. Fen Lin and others have returned to the Fengshan ruins. With them was Samya. Except for the street lights, all the lights in the villa were off. It was obvious that everyone had rested. I'm going back to sleep. Remember to buy me a wheelchair tomorrow. Men Changshan looked at Fen Lin and walked towards the villa on crutches. I'm going to rest too. Sikam Jin also left here. Fen Lin looked at Samya next to him and walked towards his villa. Come with me, I will find you a place to live. Okay. Samya nodded slightly. Fen Lin arrived at his villa and took Sumi out of the empty room on the first floor. There's no one here, so rest here. After Fen Lin finished speaking, he walked towards the second floor. In this battle, he was not seriously injured, but he was very mentally exhausted. The side effects of Juan and Kashin are quite serious. Opening the door of his room, he found Kakioki and Wenmo sleeping here. Fen Lin rolled his eyes. He had just taken off his shirt, then turned his head and looked outside the room. Instead of sleeping with these 2 girls, it would be better to find someone else. Then, he left here carefully and closed the door again. Go deeper into the second floor, there are 3 rooms here. Zhuang, Jinggu Jiqihui and Zhao King lived respectively. He dismissed Qihui first. Then I stood here, thinking about it, but I didn't know where to go. My selectivophobia appears again. Fen Lin finally took out his phone and decided to check the minutes. If it is an odd number, go to Zhuang. The even number goes to find Zhao King. I finally discovered that it was already 1:13 inches the morning. He opened Zhu Ruan's room. When Zhu Ruan heard the movement, she immediately raised her head. When she found that Fen Lin had returned, she lay down again in a daze. Fen Lin yawned and fell asleep. Early the next morning, Zhu Ruan was preparing to get up early to train as usual. She suddenly seemed surprised and lifted the quilt. He found Fen Lin sleeping next to him. He couldn't help but think about what happened last night. Zhu Ruan gently touched the side of Fen Lin's face and smiled involuntarily. He knew that Fen Lin had been busy these days. Taking them to these ruins must have provoked a big fish, fearing that they were in danger. To put it bluntly, he was still causing trouble for Fen Lin. If he were strong enough, he wouldn't have to do this at all and could instead relieve Fen Lin of his worries. Thinking of this, Zhu Ruan immediately got up and prepared to train. He opened the door, went downstairs, and found Samya sitting on the couch. "Who are you?" Zhu Ruan jumped down from the second floor and looked at the red-haired woman suspiciously. "Wow, you're so beautiful." Samya looked at Zhu Ruan and opened her mouth in surprise. "You're in such good health." "Stop flattering me." "Who are you? What is your relationship with Fen Lin?" "This person is here, it must be Fen Lin who brought her here." "Fen Lin is my best friend," Samya explained with a smile. "Best friend?" Zhu Ruan's face became increasingly cold. What a green tea statement. "Fen Lin is my man, he doesn't need a best friend." "Are you Fen Lin's wife?" Samya asked in surprise. "Not bad. A real great wife, a real wife." Zhu Ruan crossed her arms and said lightly, "At best, you can only be a little wife." "Okay. You're great and everything you said is right." Samya smiling and nodding. "Oh." Zhu Ruan was a little confused. This guy's reaction was wrong. Normally, if she says something like this, shouldn't I refute it? What's all the fuss so early in the morning? Jinguji Akada grabbed her hair and walked down from the second floor. Samya's eyes widened again. "It's so beautiful. Is this a paradise? There are so many beauties." "Who are you?" Jinguji Akadu's eyes narrowed slightly. "This woman is not simple." "I'm Fen Lin's little wife," Samya explained with a smile. Chapter 602. The lovers finally get married. Samya likes women. At this moment she is like a man facing two great beauties. Naturally, we will tolerate them as much as possible. Jinguji Akada was also a little surprised. It was the first time he saw such a shy woman. Although Zhao King called them sister, she never said that she was the little wife. "Are you so strong that you really want to be her little wife?" Jinguji Akada asked strangely. Zhu Ruan frowned. It turned out that this person was still a master. "Of course I am. I'm not interested in Fen Lin. I'm interested in you." Samya looked at the two of them with a smile. "What? You, could it be?" Zhu Ruan pointed at Samya in shock. "Yes, it's just what you thought." Samya covered her mouth and smiled. At this time, Zhao King also came down from upstairs. Samya looked again, and there were also fresh-faced women. "This Fen Lin is so disgusting, the Golden House hides so many beauties." Zhao King smiled and greeted Samya, and then prepared to go to the kitchen to work. Zhu Ruan and Jinguji Akada were sitting on the sofa, crossing their legs and meditating together. Something is wrong with this woman, she must have led them deliberately. Especially Jinguji Akada, she originally had the advantage of strength. But when this woman arrived, his advantage disappeared. After a while, Fen Lin also left the room and stretched on the second floor. Looking at the people in the room below, he walked over with a smile. "Good morning." "Who is it? Why don't you introduce me?" Zhu Ruan asked bitterly. "Oh, this is Samya, an ordinary friend." Fen Lin walked over with a smile and sat between Zhu Ruan and Jinguji Akada. "Don't worry, she likes women and is not interested in me, and I am not interested in." Zhu Ruan and Jinguji Akada's expressions, they were surprised. Could it be that everything this woman said was true? "Fen Lin, is it too late to be your little wife now?" Samya smiled and ruffled her hair. "Don't talk nonsense, my wife is here." Fen Lin said lightly. "I'm serious, I can be your wife." Samya looked at Zhu Ruan and Jinguji Akada respectively. "In this case, your wife will become my wife." Fen Lin suddenly said cautiously. "You are thinking too much. My wife is a normal person." "What a pity." Samya smiled and sat on the sofa opposite. "Looking at your arm, it should be fine. You will leave soon." Fen Lin issued an eviction order in case this woman really broke up his wife. "What can you reason? It scares you." Samya couldn't help but laugh. She simply admired women. There was no such strange idea. When Zhu Ruan heard about Fen Lin's attitude towards Samya, she was relieved and went out to warm up to train. Fen Lin took Jinguji Akada to the second master's villa. Men Changshan woke up early, but his wheelchair was gone. Now I stand in the yard with my cane and look at the flowers in the grass not far away. Second Master Fen Lin walked over with a smile and took out all the treasures he obtained this time. For example, the Zhuanwu, White Tiger, and Longhao space rings. Of course, there is also the skeleton thumb within the formation. Fen Lin put the things on the grass in front of him. Divide into 4 piles total. He first crouched down, took out the clothes and other items inside and destroyed them. Only the useful ones remained. Good boy, there are too many treasures this time. Men Changshan looked at the things in front of him. The overall strength of these people could be greatly improved. Fen Lin crouched down and began to sort through these things. This is a healing elixir. Although the refinement is not very good, the amount of medicine is very large. Fen Lin opened the medicine bottles and smelled the smell inside. This is a realm breakthrough pill, but it is useless to us. This is Fen Lin suddenly opened a porcelain pot similar to a rouge box, which contained white powder. He sniffed lightly and closed the lid again. Boss, what is this? Why don't you say anything? Jinguji Apadu squatted next to him and asked. It contains spring leaves. This medicine is considered a natural treasure, but it is very rare, Fen Lin explained with a smile. What is spring night leaf? Jinguji Apadu was a little confused. Men Changshan laughed on the side and said, this is a woman's Viagra. As long as you inhale a certain amount, it is equivalent to eating half a bottle of Viagra. What? Whose space ring is this? It's so abominable. Jinguji Apadu, his face suddenly turned red. Not only that, spring night leaf is a treasure of heaven and earth. Even we ancient warriors cannot suppress it. Fen Lin put this in his space ring, perhaps it can be used one day. Naturally, he would not use such a thing to insult a woman, but if a powerful woman wanted to kill her, it would be a weapon. Secretly finally, Fen Lin separated all these things, healing elixirs and key replenishing elixirs. The treasures of heaven and earth are gathered together. There are 2 more techniques. It is in Longhao's ring. There is another one in the key. Men Changshan took a piece of feather-shaped iron, and after looking at it, he asked in a deep voice, whose space ring is this thing in? When we got trapped in the formation, I found a skeleton. It's in his ring. Fen Lin handed the ring to Men Changshan. Men Changshan took the key, looked at it and shook his head slightly. Hey, things have changed. Second Master, do you know him? He asked Fen Lin strangely. We are old friends. Men Changshan handed the feather metal piece to Fen Lin. Take the time to study it, okay? Fen Lin accepted the feather. This time there are many enhancement pills. Fen Lin handed it to Men Changshan and asked him to distribute it. Men Changshan planned to increase the dosage for Zhu Ruang and Mu Velu. After that came Zhao King and Zhamu. Shen, her talent is the most backward, and she has not yet become an ancient warrior. Of course, this is just according to Fen Lin's thinking. For ordinary people, this is nothing less than normal, after all. Has only been training for 2 months. Fen Lin asked the second master to keep some of it and give it to Zilin, so that she could improve the people under the peony flower. When you live here, you have to be careful. After finishing the work here, Fen Lin sent Sumi over to the airport. They came here on foot. Because Fen Lin's Wuling Huangwing is still stationed here. Before Fen Lin returned, he bought a wheelchair for Man Changshan. Recently, Fen Lin has been in the mountains outside the ruins, consolidating his kingdom. Finally, the realm reached the peak of the initial tempering stage. After that, he continued studying the formation, forgetting about sleeping and eating. Until a phone call bothered me. Yi Sheng called and said with a smile, Fen Lin, let me tell you something happy. My mother is getting married. Fen Lin, my father is getting married, and I specially invite you to come. Shamu's voice also came. Fen Lin thought of Zhao and Yi Dan, who were considered lovers and finally got married. Okay, I'll go back right now, Fen Lin said over the phone. Return to the ruins. Fen Lin looked at Zhu Ruang in the distance, his face full of surprise. What did the second master give him? Chapter 603 Zhu Yuan's enemy. Zhu Ruang's realm has risen to the peak of the late stage of transformation. It's only been a few days. Zhu Ruang was sitting cross-legged on the ground and her body key flowed around her body. In front of her was a piece of metal. Fen Lin remembered that Fen Zhuai seemed to have given him this. Compared with Zhu Ruang, others are not so exaggerated. Mu Zhao, who had just entered the transformation realm. As for Zhao King, he also reached the mid-Jin stage. Shamu just entered in Jin. As for Yi Shen, with a blessing of these heavenly materials and earthly treasures, she finally became an ancient warrior. And he reached the middle stage of Jin in one fell swoop. Fen Lin, you are finally here. We are all waiting for you. Shamu noticed that Fen Lin had returned and greeted with a smile. Zhuang also opened her eyes, a trace of confidence flashed in her eyes. He put away the piece of iron in front of him and stood up with a proud expression. Second master, where is fifth brother? Fen Lin did not sense his aura. I was attacked by Zhang and went out to practice, Men Chengsheng said with a smile. This time I will give him the most powerful elixir. He should be able to break through when he comes back. Fen Lin shook his head. Powerless in just a few days, it was enough to rise to 3 realms. Jingu Jiop will definitely be anxious. Second master, aren't you going to this wedding? Fen Lin walked over with a smile. I won't join in the fun anymore. I've been too active in the past few days and haven't recovered yet. Men Chengsheng smiled and took out his cigarette case. Okay, let's set off. Fen Lin didn't ask Sakam in, he knew Lao Si too well. 100% doesn't work. Fen Lin, listen to them, this time there's delicious food, I will go too. Kaikiokiao ran from a distance in a black princess dress. With her was Wengo, who was wearing a dress. Furthermore, Wenmo's silver hair was dyed black and she was obviously ready to go out. Fen Lin looked at the two of them in surprise and they made progress at the same time. Kaikiokiao reached the midterm pick of Grandmaster. And Wenmo has also passed into the realm of a master. This time I have used all the power-enhancing pills. Men Chengsheng seemed to see Fen Lin's confusion and explained with a smile. Everyone is apart. Fen Lin didn't care, he was the one who grabbed this thing anyway. Come. I don't feel any pain after using it. Fen Lin followed Zhu Ruan with 2 bottles of oil in his arms. Several people came out together. Soon after, a Mercedes-Benz V-Class appeared in the distance. Yishin's subordinate, Bai Jian, jumped out of the driver's seat. He lowered his head slightly and said, Sister Yi, Mr. Fen Lin. Okay, let's go up. Yishin turned around with a smile. This car has 7 seats and, with driver Bai Jian, can seat 6 people. Finally, Yishin, Shamu, Muzhu, and Zhao King sat on them. The main thing is that Fen Lin still has 2 bottles of oil next to him. Otherwise, he and Zhu Ruan would be fine. Finally, Zhu Ruan drove a Mercedes-Benz, followed by Fen Lin and the 2 girls beside her. The car started and Fen Lin sat in the passenger seat, looking at Zhu Ruan's pretty face that smiled from time to time, so happy. I have threatened Jinnu Temple. Zhu Ruan couldn't help but raise her face. She must have been very excited, not to mention Jinguji. The 2 girls playing with their mobile phones in the back seat were like a huge mountain in front of her. But she had reached the top of the mountain immediately. She is the pinnacle of transformation and if she takes 1 more step, she will catch up with Wenmo. After taking 2 steps, she caught up with Kaikiokiao. How can you not be happy? Your talent is really great. Fen Lin nodded slightly, despite the blessing of a large amount of heavenly materials and earthly treasures. But the body can absorb it and convert it into strength in such a short time, which is not something ordinary people can do. HMPH. Just wait and see. Once we surpass Jinnu Temple, no one will be able to challenge my position as the eldest wife. Zhu Ruan was full of confidence. When the time comes, I will defeat any concubine who disobeys her. In some ways, that includes you. Fen Lin smiled sarcastically. Your wish is really great. They all came to Yun City and stopped at the previous villa area. Shamu went to the Zhao family first. Yishin also ran to Yi's house. This time they are both family members, so naturally they have to arrive first. Bai Jian left the 7-seater Mercedes behind and took a taxi back. This car was prepared for Fen Lin. Including the 2 girls next to Fen Lin, there were 6 in total. A few people stopped here for a while and then headed to Zhao's house together. At the foot of Shoujia Mountain. It was crowded and there were luxury cars everywhere. Not only Yun City, but all the big businessmen in Jiangbai came here to congratulate. Since the original Wei family disappeared and the property was acquired by a mysterious person, it has now become very low-key. The Zhao family and the Yi family, 2 rich families, became in-laws, showing that they could reach a higher level. Fen Lin parked the car in the parking space. As soon as they got out of the car, they heard a woman scream in the distance. Zhao Ying. The person who came was none other than Zhu Ziyin. Ying Ying. Zhu Ruan ran over happily, the 2 hadn't seen each other for a while. Along with Zhu Ziyin, there was Zhu Yan. Zhu Yan is now in the middle stage of the transformation realm. At his age, he can still progress steadily and can be considered a talent. Mr. Fen Lin. Zhu Yan walked over with a smile. Long time no see. Fen Lin hugged the 2 girls next to him and nodded with a smile. Fen Lin, you guys talk first. I want to take Sister Zhao to see Grandma. Zhao King held Mu Xiaoyu's hand and said with a smile. Okay, Fen Lin nodded. Speaking of which, Zhao King and Zhao Xi can be considered a family. Sir, please. Zhu Yuan smiled and stretched out his hand. There was no need to be polite between us. Fen Lin smiled and shook his head, but still walked forward. Zhu Yuan followed Fen Lin. As soon as they reached the foot of the mountain, the onlookers gathered and began to talk. Look, that's Zhu Yuan. Rumor has it that his strength has also transformed. Who was the young man next to Zhu Yuan? You can actually talk and laugh with him. That young man is my father. Because of the little angel in his arms, my daughter will be my wife in the future. What are you thinking? Fen Lin and Zhu Yuan arrived at the mountainside together. Here a stage has been set up on the grass. Fen Lin's eyes suddenly froze and he looked at the dining table on the edge. There were two people sitting there, a young man and an old man. The young man has short hair and slender, sinister eyes. He is about the same age as Fen Lin and is in the middle stage of divine ability. With him was an old man with a round face and somewhat robust figure, who was at the peak of his spiritual acuity. Behind them stood two middle-aged men, both in the residence realm. Although Fen Lin was curious, he did not bother. Zhu Yuan followed Fen Lin's gaze and looked over there. His body suddenly trembled, his face turned pale, and he took a few steps back involuntarily. What's wrong? Fen Lin asked strangely. That round-faced old man is the villain who killed my wife back then. Zhu Yuan's voice trembled. I didn't expect to find it here. But the current strength is far from enough. The other party already had magical power 20 years ago. It's definitely stronger now. Zhu Yuan felt that even Fen Lin was no match. Don't be excited. Can he recognize you? Fen Lin asked calmly. Chapter 604. Heinous crime. Zhu Yuan shook his head gently. I don't know, but I'm nobody in his eyes. Maybe he's forgotten it a long time ago. As he spoke, the fat old man looked at him. Zhu Yuan's body suddenly stiffened and he whispered, Sir, you may have recognized me. Don't be nervous, maybe he just sensed your cultivation level. You are now considered a master. Fen Lin sat down with a smile. Both Kaikioqiao and Wenmo have corresponding secret techniques and the other party should not be able to detect them. It looks like today's wedding is going to be a good show. Kaikioqiao and Wenmo were sitting on either side of Fen Lin, eating the food on the table. Zhu Yuan lowered his head nervously throughout the entire process, pretending to look at his phone. After a while, the noisy voice gradually calmed down. Two old men came from afar. They are Zhao Xi and Yizan respectively. Zhao Xi was sitting in a wheelchair and Zhao King was pushing a wheelchair behind her. Yizan stood up, but one of his hands was broken. That was what Zhu Zizi did. Everyone, welcome to my Zhao family. My son and Mr. Yi's daughter are married for the second time, so I keep everything simple and there's no need to be too ostentatious, Zhao Xi said to the guests below with a smile. Yes, this time our two families discussed and arranged the marriage of the two of the simplest wedding. As soon as Yizan finished speaking, the sound of firecrackers could be heard in the distance. Yidan was wearing a white wedding dress and stood at the end of the red carpet. Her half-white hair has been dyed black and with makeup she looks much younger. The bridesmaids next to her are Yishin and Zhamu. Everyone around them looked at the three people and exclaimed in surprise. Compared to Yidan, Yishin and Zhamu are more fascinating. Third young master, Yidan is not as young as the rumors say, the fat old man from before spoke softly from the edge of the dining table. It seems that the rumors are wrong. I thought this woman had the eye of God. The thin-eyed young man took the red wine and said lightly. What should we do? The old man asked in a low voice. There is no need to waste time. Let's examine Zhao Xi and see if she has helped find Sugusahu over the years. The thin-eyed young man drank the red wine in one gulp. If there is still no news, kill his son and leave him. He has a long memory. The old man looked at the two middle-aged men next to him. They are all at the master level and can look down on these lowly mortals. Yeah. The two middle-aged people understood and walked towards Zhao Xi. Zhao Xi appeared on the other side of the red carpet wearing a black suit and holding a diamond ring. With an excited expression on his face, he walked towards Yidan step by step and knelt on one knee. Yidan, will you marry me? Zhao Kui raised the diamond ring in his hand, raised his head and asked. Yes, Yidan smiled and nodded, taking the initiative to extend his left hand. Suddenly a thunderous sound was heard everywhere. Zhao Xi picked up the ring and prepared to put it on Yidan. Right now. Boom. There was a loud noise from the high platform and then it collapsed. Zhao King, who was originally behind Zhao Xi, looked at the flying sawdust and immediately stood in front of Zhao Xi. Block all incoming wood chips. Zhao Xiuman was in disbelief. He didn't expect Zhao King to become an ancient warrior. Zhao Chen, who was in the distance, saw this and immediately ran over. Not only the guests around him, but also Zhao Kuip, who was putting a ring on Yi Dan, also turned their heads. I saw two middle-aged men appear at the center of the stage. They walked towards Zhao Xi with indifferent eyes. One of them, a man with a mustache, asked calmly, "Zhao Xi, how did you complete the task assigned to you? How dare you? Who are you?" Zhao Cheng immediately attacked the two of them. Despicable thing. The mustachioed middle-aged man waved a hand. Bullet. An electric sound flashed by him. Zhao Cheng's body suddenly flew back and hit the dining table in the distance. The resonance of light and darkness, the realm of the master. When Yi Zan saw this, his face turned pale. How could there be a master at the master level here? Zhao Xi narrowed his eyes and asked, "Who are you? I haven't seen you for many years. Has my life become comfortable? Have you forgotten your mission? Do you still remember how your family was destroyed?" Two middle-aged people. The person's words made Zhao Xi's pupils suddenly shrink. These people who wiped out your Zhao family are here again. I don't like wasting time. The last sentence, do you have any ideas about Zhuge whereabouts? The middle-aged man with a mustache raised his hand and pointed at Zhao Kuip, who was still kneeling there. If not, your son will die. Zhuge. Almost no one here has heard of this name. But Zhu Ruang, who was chatting with Zhu Ziyang from a distance, he was shocked. He once heard Zhao Xi say that his grandfather's wife was from the Zhao family. Back then, a group of mysterious people destroyed the Zhao family just to find out the whereabouts. Zhuge's fist gradually clenched, and she could now gradually feel the breath. The two middle-aged men were very strong, but she was confident in defeating them. The corners of Fen Lin's mouth curled up slightly, and it turned out that Zhu Yuan's enemies were the same group of people who destroyed the Zhao family. The purpose of these people is to find Zhuge. Zhu Ruang was naturally their goal. He has already offended his wife, so we must take care of this affair. Zhao Xi. What am I asking you? Another middle-aged man also burst into power, and the resounding sound of electricity caused the ground under his feet to collapse. Two teachers. There was a huge wave in Yi Zan's heart. If I were alone, I could barely stand it. But for two, he was no match at all. Involuntarily, he turned around and finally found Fen Lin's figure. Fen Lin was helping the two girls next to him with pastries. Seeing him so relaxed, Yi Zan also breathed a sigh of relief. Some of the guests around him were so scared that they fled down the mountain. At the master level, that is a hidden family. Two masters are two hidden families. The Zhao family and the Yi family are nothing in front of others. It seems like you don't take your job seriously. The middle-aged man with a mustache and a cold expression walked towards Zhao step by step. No. I've been searching patiently, but I can't find it. Zhao Xi was so scared that her body trembled and she yelled at the middle-aged man. Stop eating. Fen Lin suddenly grabbed Kakiokiao and Wenmo by the ears, lifted them up, and walked towards Zhao. Finally, he stood in front of Zhao. Mr. Fen Lin, Zhu Yang couldn't help but stretched out his hand. In fact, he had guessed a long time ago that Fen Lin might be at the master level or even a divine orifice level. But in front of a master who was also at the master level, wouldn't he create trouble for himself by holding two girls in his arms? They are getting married and you are here to fight and kill. Do you have the qualities? Fen Lin asked calmly. The guests who did not speak were surprised. It is true that newborn cats are not afraid of tigers. Do you know what the master state is? How dare you accuse the master state in public? Do you think you have a long life? Who do you think you are? Suddenly, Mustache extended his hand and attacked Fen Lin. Fen Lin immediately extended his arms to lock the two girls in his arms. Seeing this scene, everyone became angry. This man actually used such a beautiful child as a shield. What a heinous crime. P.S. Sorry guys, something happened today and I'm just updating now, but there are still 3 updates today and it won't stop. Chapter 605 Tantai Family. Not just those who don't know Fen Lin. Those who knew Fen Lin felt incredible. For example, Zhao Xi and Yi Zan. Or perhaps it was Zhu Yuan and others who looked at him in shock. Logically speaking, Fen Lin is not this kind of person. Such a cute little lolly, how could she stand to be used as a shield? These two amateurs who ate melons and didn't know the truth were also surprised. They didn't expect Fen Lin to be so hateful and asked them to do it without saying anything in advance. However, they are both teachers. They reacted immediately. Bullet. Bullet. The ki of both of them instantly filled their bodies and their pink fists were launched at the same time. Boom. A terrible pressure hit his mustache. Impossible. Mustache was so scared that he didn't have time to escape. The huge force hit his body and he suddenly flew backwards. He hit the dining room table in the distance. The entire dining room table was smashed and the wine and cakes on it were scattered all over the floor. Shock. Everything around you was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. What the hell is going on? Many people rubbed their eyes thinking they had seen it wrong. That person is at the legendary Master Realm. Xiao Cheng is the guardian of the Xiao family, but even in the realm of transformation, he has no power to resist in the face of this mustache. However, the little leader in this young man's arms actually knocked him down. Xiaoxi and Yizan were stunned with fear. Especially Yizan, who has been practicing hard all his life, but in the end, is he worse than a little boy? Zhu Yuan also had the same idea. These two girls seemed to be less than 10 years old. But his strength has already entered the Master Realm. What is happening in this world? As for the people around who were still insulting Feng Lin, they wanted to find a crack in the ground and crawl inside. As expected of my dad. What the hell are you thinking? That's my dad. Don't be ridiculous, these two kids are at the master level, so they must come from a terrifying sect. Everyone turned around and found that the old man who spoke was also a famous ancient teacher in Jiabai. Sir, what is a sect? A middle-aged man in a suit and leather shoes asked respectfully. He is just an ordinary businessman and at most only knows the hidden family. Many people also looked and pricked up their ears to listen. The sect is about the hidden family. They have many talents and treasures to improve the strength of the younger generation. The old man explained briefly, and he didn't know much. But for the uninitiated, it's fun to watch. When everyone heard this, they all looked at the two little Lolases in shock. In this way, his identity is not ordinary. At the dining table in the corner, the young man with thin eyes raised the corners of his mouth. At such a young age, he actually has the realm of resonance. It seems that he has great experience. Only the second sister of my Tantag family can compare with me. His name is Tantag. Third young master, what should we do? The old man next to him asked softly. Take a look first. If it doesn't work, do it. Tantag refilled the glass with red wine and waited to see what would happen. In the distance, a middle-aged man with a mustache who fell to the ground hit the ground and jumped up with the help of the reaction force. He looked at Feng Lin suspiciously. Who are you? Another middle-aged man also walked over with a solemn face. I am related to the Xiao family and have come here to have a feast, Feng Lin asked lightly. Who are you? We are the ones who killed you. The two of them burst out with power at the same time, and the ground around them shook violently. The people who were close to them were injured by the power of the resonance and fell on the spot. When other people saw this, they screamed in fear and fled down the mountain. However, there are still a small number of people who choose to stay. Let's go. Feng Lin put the two little Lolases on the ground. Kaikiokiao opened her arms and colorful butterflies gradually emerged from her body. Oh! These butterflies, like flying swords, attacked the two of them. Cultivator grew. Tantang raised his eyebrows in surprise. The two middle-aged men immediately fled, but the butterfly chased after them. Scratched their body. While they didn't have time to think about it, when Mo jumped up. She spun in the air and kicked. Boom. The mustachioed middle-aged man's body was shaken violently and a mouthful of blood spurted out. He hit the ground suddenly and a human silhouette appeared on the ground. Everyone was dumbfounded. Is he still a cute little angel? This is too violent. Xiaoxi couldn't believe it, but she was grateful inside. Meeting Feng Lin was the most correct thing he did. Yizan was also sighing, he was so naive to go against such a person before. Tantang drank the red wine in the glass and stood up with an indifferent expression. Yeah. The fat old man stood up and suddenly burst out loudly. Boom. The tables and chairs in front of him shattered in an instant, and with just a sigh, they appeared in front of Feng Lin. The easiest way to control the two little Lolases is to control Feng Lin, the guardian. But he still hadn't grabbed Feng Lin's arm. The air on the side suddenly compressed and Zuruang appeared instantly. Boom. Zuruang kicked him out. However, his purpose was not to attack, but to use counterforce to grab Feng Lin's arm and retrieve 10 meters away. Zuruang simply wore a mask, and this disguise could only hide her from outsiders. Zuyuan or Zhaoxi and others can notice it at a glance. This is Zuruang. Although he was wearing loose sports clothes, the two three-dimensional Chinese characters in front of him were too eye-catching. How is this possible? Zuyuan was surprised. The power that Zuruang had just emitted had obviously surpassed him. How long has it been? Gang Kakiokiao and Wenmo also immediately retreated to Feng Lin's side. In front of the divine aperture, they were no match. Broken. 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 Tantang walked over with a smile and slowly clapped his hands. He looked at Zhaoxi in the distance and said calmly, "It seems that you have not been idle these years. You have made friends with some important people. Who are you? Zhao asked sharply. You mortals are not qualified to know. As Tan Teng spoke, his eyes gradually flashed with blue light. Seeing this, Yizan was shocked. Shenqiao. What a young Shenqiao. Don't be too nervous. In my parents' eyes, I'm just a waste who eats, drinks and has fun. Tan Teng smiled and waved his hand. My brother and sister above me are the ones who surprise you. What are you going to do here this time? Zhao asked through gritted teeth. I have nothing to do. I accepted the lowest level mission and went on a trip. Tan Teng looked at Zhao with a smile. This mission is to ask if you have any news about Zugusau's whereabouts. I have been here. I did my best. I could search, but I really can't find it. Zhao said in a deep voice. Well, then tell me, why did we take your life? Tan Teng pointed to Zhao behind him. Killed his son. Yes. The fat old man nodded with a smile and took steps towards Zhao. Go away. No. No. Zhao shouted with tears in his eyes. Chapter 606. Hodgepodge. Fen Lin gently shook his head. It seemed that these people were not good people. He is here today, so naturally he can't let him succeed. Brush. A blue sword appeared from above. When Tan Teng saw this, his eyes widened. Watch your back. The old man suddenly turned around and found that the blue sword was already attacking him. Boom. His eyes flashed with light, spreading ki throughout his body. The powerful force caused the ground under his feet to sink into a large semicircular pit. Oh! The blue sword was like a ray of light, easily penetrating his defense and making a large hole in his body. Impossible. His eyes filled with fear and he fell to the ground with a plop. The holy sword of the White Emperor. How is that possible? The white sword sect has long since declined. Who is it? Tan Teng looked around in panic. Humph. It's me, are you afraid? Wenmo put his hands on his hips and raised his face. Of course he knew that this was Fen Lin's trick. But this mood looks cruel, so I performed it myself. Tan Teng said coldly. I don't care who you are. It's best not to provoke me. I'm from the Tan Tak family. Tan Tak family. Fen Lin frowned. I had never heard of this family. He picked up Kakioki and Wenmo with a smile, walked over and asked, what kind of thing is the Tan Tak family? Are they as powerful as my military commander? Military commander, it's you, Tan Teng said, paying attention to Wenmo's red eyes. You should know that Wenmo only dyed his hair black and did not wear black contact lenses. Tan Teng was secretly surprised. The people in front of him turned out to be from the Jili tribe. This is normal. The Jili clan inheritance is indeed capable of cultivating such a young master. HNPH. They are just a group of brainless butchers. Go back and ask Li Henshin, does he dare to provoke my Tan Tak family? Tan Teng said sharply, his tone was neither humble nor arrogant. Fen Lin's eyes were half-lit and it seemed like he was really not afraid of Li Henshin. Is this the name of the military commander that an ant like you can call? Fen Lin chased him away. Tan Teng showed a disdainful expression, but the next moment, his expression froze. Endless pressure coursed through his body, making him unable to move. Boom. Fen Lin kicked him in the stomach and kicked him out. Brat. You are looking for death. Tan Teng took out a black token with various symbols flashing. Fen Lin raised his eyebrows. There was actually a formation on it. However, Fen Lin is just getting started with the battle method and doesn't know what it is. Oh. Suddenly, Tan Teng's figure disappeared here in an instant. What the hell? Transfer the formation. Fen Lin cursed secretly and actually let him run away. The moment the formation started, he could obviously stop it. However, the two middle-aged men who were echoing with each other in the distance were unable to escape. Fen Lin placed Kakioki and Wenmo on the ground, stepped forward, grabbed their shoulders, and jumped down the mountain to the side. Kakioki and Wenmo followed Fen Lin. Everyone was left alone, still looking confused. Let the wedding continue. As long as I'm here, everything will be fine. Zhuang stuffed her trouser pockets and said to Zhao in the distance. Then she couldn't help but raise her face. Being the boss was really fun. Once upon a time, Zhao family was like a mountain in his eyes. Initially, he wanted to leave Fen Lin and let Zhamu marry Fen Lin as his wife. But now, Zhuang's strength has surpassed Zhao Chen. This feeling is really good. She couldn't wait to surpass Jinguji Akahui. At that time she still dared to go crazy in front of her. Alright. Zhao had also seen a great scene. She smiled at everyone and said, everyone has seen the joke, but we have defeated the bad guys. The wedding continues. Fen Lin took the two of them, head to the mountains. He threw the two of them to the ground and asked flatly, "Tell me, who are you?" "We are from the Tantak family." "I advise you not to be arrogant and provoke us, brush." Fen Lin waved a hand and a line of blood appeared on the neck of the middle-aged man who spoke. Faga. Blood spurted out and fell directly to the ground. Mustache, who was still sitting on the ground, looked at him in horror. As expected of Li Henshin, he was never kind to his enemies. He gritted his teeth and sneered. "I know that even if I tell you everything, you Jili tribe will still kill me." He used his strength and slapped his forehead with his palm. Hit. He fell with dull eyes. "It's still a figure." Fen Lin shook his head slightly, got rid of their corpses, and looked at the two people around him. "Have you heard of the Tantak family?" "No." Kaikioki Ao and Wenmo shook their heads. "Forget it, I'll ask someone else later." Fen Lin took two more people to Zhao's house. The wedding year started again, and Zhao Zhu and Yi Dan are toasting Zhao Xi and Yi Zan. The previous body had been carried away. "Fen Lin, are you okay?" Zhu Wang approached from a distance. "Okay, I'll make a call." Fen Lin put the two little Oluses on the seats and left. He arrived at the deserted mountainous forest and dialed Ji Guangling's number. After a while, the call came. "What's up, kid?" "Old man, I want to ask you something. Do you know the Tantak family?" Fen Lin asked with a smile. "Don't say you provoked them." Ji Guangling's voice became solemn. "I just provoked them. Are they very powerful?" Fen Lin leaned against a big tree and asked with a smile. "This family is very mysterious, and I don't have much information here." Ji Guangling paused and said, "I can tell you a few things. They are hodgepodge." "A hodgepodge?" Fen Lin was a little confused. Ji Guangling said, "They are mixed, but they are not a mixture of black and white." After his explanation, Fen Lin immediately understood that they were a mixture of other races. "Your family has existed for a long time and are famous practitioners. It is said that in order to live forever, your family gathered the advantages of all races in a deliberately created mixed race offspring." Ji Guangling paused and smiled. "That's why I say they are hodgepodge." "They want to find Zugusau," Fen Lin said on the mobile phone. After a family that has existed for hundreds of thousands of years, they discover that they are still subject to illness and death. Naturally, they are eager to know the secret of the Zhu family's life. Ji Guangling smiled slightly. "Then what should I do?" Fen Lin asked. "The mysterious Tantak family wants to cause you trouble and I can't ask for more." Ji Guangling smiled and said, "You can investigate." "TSK, you can do it." Fen Lin rolled his eyes helplessly. "Forget it, I'm here. Think of a way. If I can't help it, I'll ask you for help again." After Fen Lin finished speaking, he hung up the phone. This happened to the Zhao family this time, although they all had a smile on their faces. However, this is just a forced smile. Fen Lin sensed that they also wanted to rest early, so took the people away immediately. Zhao Mu and Yi Shen decided to stay first to spend time with their families. Fen Lin left with the others and Zhu Yuan followed Fen Lin with tears of gratitude. "I didn't expect my revenge for killing my wife to be like this. Come to the foot of the mountain." Fen Lin looked at Zhu Yuan and asked, "I want to know one thing. Why was your wife killed?" Chapter 607. "Call me the male emperor." Zhu Yuan's face gradually became serious and said in a deep voice, "Let's talk somewhere else." Fen Lin nodded and motioned for Zhu Ruan and others to return to the village first. Zhu Ruan left with Zhu Ziyin. Finally, Fen Lin took Zhu Yuan's audio aid and drove around in circles. "Only after my wife and I got married, I learned about your family. I heard that your family belonged to the Qiang concept," Zhu Yuan said in a deep voice. Qiang concept? Fen Lin heard from Second Master that this sect was once very powerful, but then collapsed. I still remember that the Gu family possesses Qiang teaching techniques. Gu Dudu and Tan Qiang were also allowed to practice. After the Qiang sect was destroyed, my wife's family became anonymous. Zhu Yuan tightened his grip on the steering wheel. Back then, my wife, Ying, who was less than a year old, and I went back to visit my relatives and found that all the family members had been killed. "Is it the old man from before?" Fen Lin asked, crossing his arms. "Yes, I remember him turning into ashes. He killed my wife, seriously injured me, and the attack also involved Ying. Zhu Yuan was heartbroken when he thought of his past memories. Fortunately, I jumped off the cliff and passed by someone to rescue me." Fen Lin exhaled. It seems that this Tantak family is not simple. The two chatted for a while on the way before heading to Zhu Ruan's villa. Zhu Ruan was chatting with Zhu Ziyin. Zhu Yuan waited for half an hour before leaving with Zhu Ziyin. Zhu Ruan was a little reluctant to give up and also wanted Zhu Ziyin to visit the ruins. But that place is not hers. It would be inappropriate to take an ordinary person like Zhu Ziang there. After they left, Fen Lin looked at a few people and said, "Let's go back to." Yes, Zhu Wang nodded. Finally, Fen Lin drove Yishen's Mercedes-Benz V-Class with 2 girls. Zhu Wang brought Zhao King and Mu Xiaolu. Returned to the ruins. Everyone started their daily routine again. Zhu Wang and others were practicing hard, while Kai Qiao and Wen Mo were sitting on the grass playing with their mobile phones. Fen Lin walked towards the distant courtyard with a smile and approached Men Changshen. "I was playing Go with Wei Wei. Back so soon?" Men Changshen looked at Fen Lin with a smile. "We are in problems." Fen Lin waved his hand helplessly. "Second master, have you heard of the Tantak family?" Men Changshen's smiling face suddenly froze. "Don't say you provoked them." Wei Wei on the other side also looked at Men Changshen with a pale face. "I provoked them in the name of the military leader, but they will definitely find me." Fen Lin smiled and spread his hands. "Kid, I really don't care about you. The Tantak family is not easy to mess with. They are even more dangerous than the Jili people." Men Changshen shook his head gently. "They are a group of crazy people, you can understand them. It becomes another kind of organization. Real human." "What do you mean?" Fen Lin was a little confused. Real humans merged with ancient warriors through modern science, while they merged with ancient warriors through inheritance. Men Changshen explained, "Their black hands are all over the world. Once, Brother Changshen. It's your turn, hurry up." Wei Wei suddenly interrupted Men Changshen. "No need." Men Changshen smiled and shook his head, looked at Fen Lin and explained, "I have cooperated with them before." Fen Lin's eyes widened. "I have helped them do many bad things that angered humans and gods, so I understand how powerful they are." Men Changshen smiled bitterly. Wei Wei on the side couldn't help but lower her head. "Second master said so, he must be very powerful," Fen Lin muttered to himself, and then asked strangely, "Second master, I don't see that man's appearance is the characteristics of other races. We mixed, the more similar we humans were originally." Men Changshen explained. "Even the Tantak family doesn't know the reason." Fen Lin rubbed his chin thoughtfully and suddenly asked, "Second master, they should have many genetic diseases, right? Being mixed has advantages, but also obvious disadvantages. They have too many dominant genes and many more genetic diseases than purebreds." As expected of a medical student, Men Changshen nodded. "More than 30% of them had genetic diseases." Fen Lin was a little surprised, which showed that 3 out of 10 people had genetic diseases. In addition to genetic diseases, their bodies are also very special. When they use their abilities, there will be side effects. Men Changshen suddenly said, "I know a woman who can see through eyes and see ki in her meridians when she uses the unique abilities of her race." "What the hell? That's strong." Fen Lin was completely surprised. "Yes, but now that she is blind, she can't see this beautiful world with colors." Men Changshen smiled and shook his head. "His eyes are now like infrared night vision devices." "Oh really?" Fen Lin also lamented when looking at the people with the infrared night vision device. There was only a human-shaped outline. After chatting with Men Changshen here for a long time, Fen Lin became more and more aware of the power of these magmen. It seems that it is better to work hard to improve strength for now. Fen Lin lay on the roof of the villa and continued studying the formation. There are good things to learn from it. For example, what those inscriptions on oracle bones represent. Many of them differ from modern translations, and modern scholars have evidently made mistakes. Fen Lin. Fen Lin. Suddenly, Kai Qiao ran over from a distance holding a mobile phone. He jumped onto the roof and approached Fen Lin. "What's wrong?" Fen Lin asked, tilting his head. "My teacher's phone number." Kai Qiao handed the phone to Fen Lin. "She chased you away and you still call her teacher. I'm raising bullies for the enemy, right?" Fen Lin did not reach out to pick it up. "If you don't pick it up, I will be angry." Kai Qiao was a little confused. She thought about it carefully. Now Kai Lin and Fen Lin were hostile. Fen Lin kept to himself, but called others his master. It's normal to be angry. "Then, what should I call you?" Kai Qiao lowered her head and asked. "Either you call me master or you don't call me at all," Fen Lin said lightly. "If I call you master, wouldn't I be one level lower than you? This is not right at all." Kai Qiao's head shook like a rattle. "Fen Lin. Stop bullying Qiao." Kai Ling's voice came from the phone. "Who do you think you are? Do you dare to order me?" Fen Lin took Kai Qiao's cell phone and said coldly. "I'd better not be presumptuous. The Empress asked me to call you this time," Kai Ling said coldly. "Who are you scaring? To use the Empress to suppress me? In your eyes, she is an empress, but in my eyes, she is just a piece of shit. Fen Lin couldn't help but laugh, and Kai Jinyoung kept asking him for treatment. Treat yourself like an uncle. Judging from Kai Ling's meaning, he seemed to think that he was Kai Jinyoung's subordinate. Fen Lin. How brave you are. Kai Ling shouted coldly. You are so bold. How can you talk to me? Fen Lin said calmly. Believe it or not, in a few days I will take Kai Jinyoung home as my wife. Then you should call me male emperor. Fen Lin, you are so amazing. Kai Jinyoung's cold voice came from the phone. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novellas, we cordially invite you to visit our channel. There you will find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 608 Men change Shen's past. When Fen Lin heard this, his expression instantly froze. Damn, Kai Jinyoung is actually next to Kai Lin. He immediately threw the phone from the roof. Ah. My cell phone. Kai Kyoki quickly stretched out her little hand. Don't worry, there's grass underneath. It won't break. After Fen Lin finished speaking, he jumped up and said loudly, Fourth. What are you doing with my phone? While speaking, he picked up the phone and said with a smile, Who is it? My phone was charging and someone took it away. It wasn't me who spoke just now. Kai Ling's voice came. Your phone was charging, but I was calling. Kyoki's phone. Fen Lin. Fen Lin, you are so brave, you are so disrespectful to the Empress. Kai Lin noticed that Fen Lin was silent and guessed that he must have been scared, so he became more aggressive. Okay, Kai Jinyoung's voice came from the phone. Fen Lin, come here. If I don't go, you will definitely teach me a lesson, Kai Kiao. If you don't come, I'll come find you in person. I don't know what will happen then. Even talking on the phone, I can feel Kai Jinyoung's aura. Are you threatening me? Fen Lin's voice became serious. This is not a threat. Kai Jinyoung paused and said, This is an order. Damn. When Fen Lin heard the first half of the sentence, he thought that Kai Jinyoung was about to give in, but he didn't expect to be able to threaten him later. Okay, I'll go there. Fen Lin was now sure that Kai Jinyoung wouldn't kill him. He just walked over and asked about the Tantai family. Fen Lin handed the phone back to Kai Kyoki and she immediately wiped the phone screen with her skirt. Remember, from now on, you can't call Master Kai Lin, Fen Lin pointed at Kai Kyoki and said before leaving. Then what is my name, Master? She raised me after all. Kai Kyoki pursed her lips. If you think she is an elder, then call her aunt. Fen Lin rubbed his chin and thought. Okay, Kai Kyoki nodded. This title is better than directly calling his name. Fen Lin jumped off the roof and left here. This time he didn't drive and ran to the high-speed train station at his maximum speed. After waiting for half an hour, the high-speed train left. He arrived at Kangshi. It's already 3:30 in the afternoon. He ran to Kai Jinyoung's villa without stopping. Lin Feng was watching TV in the living room and when he noticed Fen Lin, he immediately got up to say hello. Lin simply nodded, then went to the bedroom and jumped into the ruins. He felt the distance, except Zhongye actually. Hero 3 breaths he walked quickly towards the Black Tower. At 3 people standing in the distance, Kai Jinyoung was dressed as usual, wearing battle armor and a silver hair hanging on the ground. The handsome and cold face gives people a strong oppressive force. To his left, there was also a woman in armor. However, in addition to the armor, this woman also has a mask and a helmet. Fen Lin looked at this woman. The curve of the armor in front of her looked somewhat familiar. It should be Kai King's from the last time she went to the Dragon Palace. The remaining person is Kai Lin. Haha, hello sister. Fen Lin smiled awkwardly. When you see the Empress, why don't you kneel and salute? Kai King's cold voice came. No need. Kai Jinyoung glanced at Kai Lin lightly. Thank you for notifying Fen Lin this time. You can go. Yeah. Kai Lin bowed slightly and then coldly looked at Fen Lin. He was obviously a foreigner, but Kai Jinyoung respected him more than himself. You seem to be less swollen, Fen Lin whispered to Kai Lin. Of course, Kai Lin knew what Fen Lin meant and was furious. But here he did not dare to make any mistakes. I can only grit my teeth and get out of here. Kai Jinyoung turned around and said softly, Follow me. Kai King looked at Fen Lin and followed Kai Jinyoung. Fen Lin put his hands in his trouser pockets and followed him indifferently. Come to the meadow behind the Black Tower. Kai Jinyoung stopped, raised his eyes and looked at Fen Lin calmly. Who was the second master in your mouth? Fen Lin immediately looked at Kai King. Judging from his behavior when he was in the Dragon Palace, he must have met Men Changshen. The Empress asks you, don't you understand? Kai King took a step forward and a terrifying pressure suddenly hit Fen Lin. Who do you think you are? My sister, the Empress, is asking me questions. Is it your turn to remind me? Fen Lin pointed at Kai King. Sister, I am not as crazy as you. I think you have wanted to usurp the throne for a long time, right? Kai King roared, and immediately knelt down to Kai Jinheng. Empress, don't listen to his nonsense. Get up, of course. Of course I know, he is talking nonsense. Kai Jinheng went to the stone bench in the distance, sat down and asked, Fen Lin, is this question difficult? First tell me what you want to do. The second teacher is my family member and has taught me a lot. If you want to harm him, I will definitely support the second master. Fen Lin looked at Kai Jinheng cautiously. In fact, Kai King had attacked the second master from the beginning. He guessed that the two parties must not be friends. Once upon a time there was a man who called himself Nightmare. He did all kinds of evil, but he was also extremely powerful. He destroyed sects and killed foreigners. I don't know if he had innocent souls in his hands. Nightmare cooperated with a madman of the Tantak family and they created an organization called Nightmare. The leader of this organization is Nightmare. They have become the nightmare of all foreigners. They capture foreigners and grow hybrids. Countless people will be scared when they hear Nightmare, but we will not be afraid of the Jiley noble tribe. After Kai Jinheng said this, he looked at Fen Lin. We have had at least dozens of conflicts with the organization. Nightmare, we suffered many casualties, and some members of the royal family were even wiped out, but they didn't do it. It's better. Fen Lin felt great waves in his heart when he heard Kai Jinheng's words. The second master said that he had cooperated with the Tantak family. Could it be? What happened next? What happened next? Fen Lin's voice erupted between his teeth. The Jiley tribe was originally a scattered mess. They were all arrogant and wanted to dominate the mountain. After the battle with the Nightmare, Lin Feng and I stood out. Almost all the tribesmen who did not join us were wiped out. In the end the Jiley clan merged into two factions. When Kai Jinheng said this, he shook his head slightly. I never saw the Nightmare organization again, but I heard that Lin Feng had been in contact with them. Kai King heard the Empress after finishing speaking. She pointed at Fen Lin and said, Back then, I followed the Empress and fought all year round. The Empress once broke the Nightmare mask. I was also there at that time. That person was your second master. That. Fen Lin's face changed. Bai involuntarily took a few steps back. No wonder the second master said that he is an evil person. Fen Lin, I think you know the reason why I asked you to come, Kai Jinheng said calmly. You were deceived. You were deceived by a heinous demon, but I believe you will stand on the side of justice because you are a member of the country. True. Chapter 609 Meeting Kai Wenyu again. Fen Lin stood here motionless, took a few deep breaths, and a smile gradually appeared on his face. My second master has a twin brother, Fen Lin said with a smile. Do you think I would believe that nonsense? Kai Jinheng looked at Fen Lin expressionlessly. Really? Can you ask Kai King to see if my second master's personality is consistent with that Nightmare? Fen Lin smiled and spread his hands, but he had already made up his mind in his heart. Before, the second master had told Fen Lin that he was a very evil person. At this moment, Fen Lin already had the answer in his heart. He never thought he could be a hero. Because the heroes are all selfless. He can't do this. For example, if Fen Lin is asked to choose who to rescue, one of them is his family and the other is hundreds of ordinary people. Fen Lin will definitely try his best to rescue both parties. But if he could really only choose one, Fen Lin would not hesitate, he would choose his family. Empress, your character is really different from the cold and fierce Nightmare back then. Kai King told the truth. Time can soften a person's edges. Kai Jinheng obviously didn't believe it. Fen Lin, you can go, I'll give you time to think about it. I don't have to think about I already have the answer in my heart. Fen Lin said seriously. He looked at Kai Jinheng. It seems that your relationship with him is extraordinary. If you say that I threaten him with your life, will he give in? Kai Jinheng suddenly asked in a cold voice. Definitely not. Nightmare simply regards Fen Lin as his tool. Kai King chuckled. How could he have feelings for his tool? What a shameless way to sow discord. Fen Lin left. He spread his hands and said, if it's just because of this incident, then I'll leave. Remember next time you come here, Kai Jinheng said calmly. Don't worry, I'm a person who keeps his word. Fen Lin turned his head and said. He went with his hands in his trouser pockets. Empress, why do you think so highly of this humble human race? Kai King asked in a low voice when he saw Fen Lin leave. Only you can tell me, Kai Jinheng said. Calmly, I have some hidden wounds on my body. This guy can help me treat them. I see, Kai King suddenly realized. After Fen Lin left the ruins, he walked alone on the street. At first, he was a little sad because of what he was told. Happened to the Tantak family. Now that I know this, it just adds fuel to the fire. Grandma. Fen Lin cursed secretly. He suddenly stopped and thought of one person, his father. Cell phone and called Fen Chen. But I heard the sound of turning off. Remembering the last time his father came to tell him that he was going to be busy for a while, he put the phone in his pocket although he didn't answer the call, his impetuous heart gradually calmed down. Dad once said that he and Mem Chang share world acquaintances. Feel confident and bold in practice with him. Fen Lin is really a fool if he doesn't even believe his own father. Seemed to know the second master's past. They didn't care, they didn't call her Yaman all day. Grandpa, they almost affected my mood. A smile appeared on Fen Lin's face, and he bought ice cream on the roadside, returning to his original mood. Suddenly, Fen Lin felt an Aster who had broken through the realm approaching. A BMW 5 Series suddenly braked and stopped next to him. The car window opened, revealing a pretty face with a smile. Fen Lin frowned. It turned out to be Zhang Yu's secretary, Kai Wenyu. Fen Lin cheated her at 10 million last time, but she didn't expect to meet him here. But if you think about it carefully, the Zhang family and Kai Jinyang are in Sankin. The Zhang family's industry is very big. But the chances of them finding each other remain very slim. Lin, I haven't seen you for a few days. Kai Wenyu showed a friendly smile. This time when I came to the Kent City branch for a business trip, I unexpectedly met this guy. God help me. After a while, they lured him to the suburbs and killed him directly. Are you, my twin brother's girlfriend? Fen Lin asked doubtfully. Haha, you still like to joke a lot. It's only 10 million and I don't care. Kai Wenyu got out of the car with a smile. He was still wearing the black OL uniform and black stockings on his legs, giving him a unique office charm. Get in the car. We finally meet here. I'll treat you to dinner. Kai Wenyu smiled and took Fen Lin's arm. You got the wrong person. Fen Lin pushed Kai Wenyu away and prepared to leave. Don't force me. Kai Wenyu's eyes suddenly became fierce. Me? Do you know who I am? Your boss is my uncle. Fen Lin said coldly. You finally admitted it. Kai Wenyu suddenly ruffled her hair, hugged Fen Lin, and shouted, Trash. Damn trash. I want to run away after playing with you, right? Fen Lin couldn't help but smile. Was he playing this trick on himself? After Kai Wenyu shouted like this, many people suddenly gathered around. Everyone spoke in low voices. Mom. Why do bastards always find pretty girls? Damn. Support this sister, let's expose this bastard. When Fen Lin saw this, he suddenly hugged Kai Wenyu and looked round with a smile. Every time my girlfriend gets angry, she calls me a bastard. After saying that, Fen Lin pinched Kai Wenyu's butt forcefully. Okay, let's stop making trouble. Kai Wenyu suddenly felt confused by Fen Lin. I promise you, head office. You obviously know that I am more traditional and don't like doing embarrassing things on the street. After Fen Lin finished speaking, he grabbed Kai Wenyu in front of him and turned him around half a circle. Clockwise. What the hell in you? Kai Wenyu's eyes could spit fire and he grabbed Fen Lin's neck with one hand. But with so many people watching, if he really wanted to act, it would be big news. Zhang Yu will definitely know. He could only endure his shame and anger and pushed Fen Lin into the passenger seat. Damn. This young man is so embarrassed. When an aunt saw this, she couldn't help but comment. The other people around realized that these two people were showing their affection. Everyone scolded them for being shameless and walked away angrily. Kai Wenyu immediately got into the car, stepped on the accelerator and left the city. Don't you just want to have dinner with me? Do you need to do this? Fen Lin looked at Kai Wenyu lightly, probably guessing what he was going to do. Kai Wenyu did not say a word the entire time. Before killing Fen Lin, she castrated him first. Finally, reaching the uninhabited road in the suburbs, Kai Wenyu parked the car on the side of the road. He got out of the car with a gloomy face, opened the passenger door, and took Fen Lin's arm. Get out. What are you doing? I won't go out. Fen Lin grabbed the steering wheel. You're not going out, are you? Kai Wenyu suddenly had a dagger in his hand. Hey. Fen Lin looked at her green fingers in surprise. There was a white ring on his index finger. Fen Lin really didn't pay attention before. Don't get excited. I'll go down to the head office, right? Fen Lin let go of the steering wheel. She had just reached the peak level in the early stage. How could she grab something like a space ring? Chapter 610. Are you also from the Tantak family? Fen Lin followed Kai Wenyu out of the car and was dragged by her arm. Run into the forest under the road. Kai Wenyu looked around and found that it was almost finished, so let go of Fen Lin. Beauty, here in the desert, you don't think anything bad of me, do you? Fen Lin stuffed his trouser pockets and asked with a smile. I have bad thoughts. There was no one else around now, and Kai Wenyu didn't bother to pretend. He looked at Fen Lin with a cold face. You will die here today. Are you going to kill people to silence them for 10 million? Fen Lin shrugged with a smile. Do you think you can kill me? Kai Wenyu sneered again and again. His palms turned into claws and he suddenly grabbed the big tree next to him. Click. The big tree was like paper and she scraped off a big piece. Which do you think is stronger, your body or this big tree? Kai Wenyu raised his face disdainfully. If you mess with me, I will make you pay the price. Aren't you afraid I will? Tell Zhang Yu your news. Fen Lin asked lightly. I already know what happened between you and Zhang Yu. He won't see you at all. Before Kai Wenyu finished speaking, he ran over. Anyway, there is plenty of time. Before killing Fen Lin, he must make him regret it and make him fear. Therefore, Kai Wenyu did not attack the vital point. His first attack was on Fen Lin's arm. Suddenly, Kai Wenyu's eyes were shocked, and Fen Lin in front of him disappeared. When he reacted, the whip kick had already hit his side. Boom. Kai Wenyu's body flew diagonally, breaking two large trees. The big tree fell to the ground, causing violent vibrations all around. The ground was covered with dust and small branches were covered. Cheeks with surprise in her eyes. This Fen Lin turned out to be a master. It was obvious that there were no key fluctuations in her body. Neck. Boom. Fen Lin pushed Kai Wenyu to the ground again. I'm very strong, please be patient. Click. Click. Fen Lin twisted his arm and dislocated it. Hiss. Kai Wenyu took a deep breath and cried in pain. Fen Lin inserted 3 silver needles into Kai Wenyu's acupoints, then knelt in front of her and pressed her body. His model was not recovered. Kai Wenyu struggled hard, but was unable to use his energy. Added to the fact that he couldn't move his arms, he was completely reduced to a fish. Who are you? Kai Wenyu couldn't believe it. Fen Lin looked at you and said that you were 1 or 2 years younger than her. The force has reached this point. Do you think I'll tell you? Fen Lin grabbed Kai Wenyu's left hand and removed the ring from her index finger. You, give it back to me. Kai Wenyu roared with tears in his eyes. Everyone is dying. You can't take this off, so why don't I keep it for you? Fen Lin injected ki into it and it turned out to be a space ring. He took out some clothes and other useless things and threw them away. See if there's any treasure inside. Fen Lin. I don't care who you are, if you kill me, you will die. Kai Wenyu said coldly. Then you know who I am. I'm from the Tantak family. Who dares to touch me? Fen Lin continued to search for the space ring. What? Are you also from the Tantak family? Kai Wenyu was suddenly surprised and asked in surprise. Yeah. Fen Lin stopped and narrowed his eyes. So you too. I am it. You fart. Fen Lin shouted coldly and asked lightly. Since you are damn people of the Tai family, let me ask you, who are the Tantak family? Who was the strongest? What is the level of strength? We are not from the Zong family. Our Kai family is a branch of the family and I have never been to the Zong family until now. Kai Wenyu hurriedly said, but I can call the family, and the elders in the family will definitely know. Who knows if your phone number is real or fake? I can judge by simply asking you basic information about the Tantak family. Fen Lin knew this. Taking the opportunity to learn more, he calmly asked, what is the relationship between your Kai family and the Tantak family? We also belong to the Tantak family, but due to the accumulation of mixtures. Over time, there are more and more people in the Tantak family. It was too mixed and difficult to handle, and in the end, the strongest faction deprived the other factions of their surnames. Kai Wenyu naturally knew this. Although they both originally belonged to the Tantak family, after 2 or 3 generations of mixed blood, their relationship was no longer close. The only people close to me are my own lineage, with my parents above and my children below. Everyone has their own little thoughts. Therefore, the strongest bloodline came up with this method. Since we all have little thoughts, we might as well separate families. However, the Tantak family has the right to appoint and remove the patriarchs of other families. They relied on their great strength to maintain the balance between the main family and the secondary families of the Tantak family. Fen Lin nodded secretly and continued to ask. Next question, why did you approach Zhang Yu? This, Kai Wenyu suddenly looked at Fen Lin. Why do I suspect that you are not from the Tantak family? How dare you doubt me? Fen Lin slapped her in front of her. No, it's just that I'm afraid. You should tell me some news. Kai Wenyu blushed and whispered. Okay, I just remind you one word. Fen Lin narrowed his eyes. Formation. It seems that you are really from the Tantai family. I received the mission just for training. After finding out that Fen Lin was an people, Kai Wenyu also breathed a sigh of relief and told everything he knew. In fact, many branch families are dissatisfied with the Zong family. It turns out that the Zong family had some good mixed bloodlines. They had the same origin, but the clan suppressed them and even took away their surname. The patriarchs of many families are secretly cultivating their own power. The same is true for the Kai family. The patriarch of the Kai family doesn't know where he got the news from. Zhang Yu of the Zhang family knows how to use formations. The formation skills have almost been lost, but Zhang Yu knows this and must have the corresponding information in hand. That's why Kai Wenyu was sent here. Fen Lin nodded. It seemed that this Tantai family was similar to Jiaworth. But this is human nature. For example, in ancient times, princes and brothers killed each other to compete for the throne. What's more, with the blood of so many foreigners in several generations of time, the family relationship has long been broken. It turns out that I am from my own family, but not from my own family. Fen Lin said lightly, my purpose is also training. You are for your family and I am for mine. Real name called Fen Lin? Kai Wenyu asked suddenly. My name is Tantai Lin. Fen Lin is not stupid. If he admits that his name is Fen Lin, there will be no one named Feng in the family. That would be embarrassing. So Fen Lin just came to the Zong family, and Kai Wenyu couldn't doubt it. It turns out that he is a master of the Zong family. No wonder it's so strong. Kai Wenyu's voice was a little low, otherwise, I would abandon this mission. The Kai family would definitely not dare to compete with the Zong family for treasures. The nightmare cultivated by the Zong family is the sword hanging above the head of the family branch. Go against them and seek death. Beauty, you can't give up this mission. Fen Lin raised the corners of his mouth slightly. Chapter 611 Kai Wen's acting skills. Fen Lin remembered that Zhang Yu told him that it was better not to let Kai Wenyu leave. If she leaves, new people will come, but they will be difficult to control. What do you mean? Kai Wenyu was a little confused. Fen Lin did not respond, first took out the silver needle, and then replaced his arm. Kai Wenyu frowned in pain. But after a moment, he felt his arm recover. Zhang Yu doesn't like me and distrusts me, so his mission will continue. At this point, Fen Lin showed a slight smile, but when you get the treasure, I will also want a copy. Are you serious? Kai Wenyu looked at Fen Lin suspiciously, wondering if he could continue to stay and carry out the mission. Tushi is undoubtedly the best choice. Even in the Kai family, she is not a core member. Her parents gave the Kai family some treasures before finding out this job. If you fail, I really don't know how. Confront my parents. Why did I lie to you? It's information anyway. Just take a photo of your phone and I'll give you the original, Fen Lin said with a smile. He also hoped that Kai Wenyu would learn more about the Tantai family. Okay. Although we fight among ourselves, after all we come from the same family. I believe you. Kai Wenyu nodded. In order to continue using this person, Fen Lin returned the space ring to him. The two returned to the car. Fen Lin asked Kai Wenyu to send him to the high-speed railway station. By the way, hey, forget it, he's just one level higher than a guard. Kai Wenyu smiled bitterly. His grandfather died early due to a genetic disease. He left a son and a daughter. That son is Kai Wenyu's father. Among his peers, his strength is only average. His aunt married someone from another branch of the family and the person she married was not of high status. Originally, even the guards looked down on them. But when Kai Wenyu entered the realm of penetration, their parents gained a bit of respect. It seems like we are in the same boat, Fen Lin asked, only because he was afraid that Kai Wenyu will ask your name. Therefore, you want to establish a small and transparent identity for yourself. You are so strong, are you the same as me? Kai Wenyu asked in surprise. What's the use of being strong? If you come from a bad background, you will only be a target. What's more, I'm not the strongest either. Fen Lin shook his head helplessly. Ha ha ha, it seems like we have a lot in common, Kai Wenyu said with a smile. The two exchanged contact information again and planned to keep in touch frequently. Fen Lin also warned Kai Wenyu that there's no need to be too anxious about this task. Slow work produces excellent work. If Zhang Yu finds out, the consequences will be disastrous. Kai Wenyu was a little moved, her original plan was to deal with Fen Lin. Instead of being angry, she actually cared about her. Let's go. Fen Lin opened the car door and greeted Kai Wenyu. Contact me often. Kai Wenyu smiled and nodded towards Fen Lin. For her, it was an honor to meet the masters of the Zong family. However, he couldn't tell his parents about this. Let them know that they will definitely marry him. Fen Lin turned around and walked towards the high-speed train station, hoping that the other party would find out his identity later. Entering the station, he suddenly felt the aura of the early stages of temperament. He immediately followed the scent and found Kai Lang sitting on the waiting room seat in the distance. Around her were 3 young men who were laughing at her. It turns out that she hasn't left yet. Fen Lin hid his breath and walked up from behind. This time, he must not be allowed to escape. Beauty, look at your weak-colored skin. Do you exercise regularly? I also like sports, a young man wearing earrings said with a smile. The 2 young men next to him immediately burst out laughing. Beauty, add me on WeChat. I'll take some time to drive and play with you. Let's do some exercise together. Another young man smiled and took out his mobile phone. However, his eyes stared at Kai Lin from time to time. With white skin and this kind of figure, she is simply the best. Kai Lin narrowed her eyes slightly and smiled lightly. But do you have money? Damn. It turns out that he is a businessman, the young man wearing earrings asked with a smile. Then just make a price. I didn't expect to find you here. Fen Lin approached from behind. Kai Lin looked surprised, quickly turned around and found that it was Fen Lin. She immediately got up and ran out. Fen Lin grabbed Kai Ling's shoulders from behind. Kai Lin, Kai Jinyoung is not here. Do you think you can escape? There are so many people here, don't force me, Kai Lin whispered. You will die before you take action against them, Fen Lin said coldly. You, Kai Ling's thoughts were spinning wildly. With the reputation of the Empress, he definitely couldn't scare Fen Lin. But being captured by Fen Lin was basically the end. Bastard. Get out. Kai Ling suddenly yelled at Fen Lin. Oh no. Are you doing this again? Fen Lin couldn't help but roll his eyes. However, he has a professional way of dealing with this move. Honey, I was wrong, come home with me, get out. The child is gone and I have nothing to do with you. Tears welled up in Kai Ling's eyes and he roared at Fen Lin. Fen Lin secretly thought something was wrong. This is a new trick. It's different from what I found before. From the first time Zhu Ruoying threatened Fen Lin's son, until now Kai Wen said that she was his girlfriend. One thing they have in common is that they don't want Fen Lin to leave. But Kai Lin was different. The purpose was exactly the opposite. He wanted Fen Lin to leave. For a moment, Fen Lin couldn't think of a way to deal with it. There were already many people here and they were screaming when they saw such a beautiful woman. Naturally, many people turned away. Gathered around him. Trash. You don't work or earn money all day. Do you still have the face to ask me, a woman, to support you? Kai Lin rubbed her eyes. I had your child and you asked me to abort, saying that you couldn't raise it. Get up. Okay. I hear you, but during this period, you went behind my back and went looking for another woman. I've had enough. Kai Lin was shed tears in the rain. Kai Lin. You're talking nonsense. Don't listen to her nonsense. Fen Lin did not expect her acting skills to be so good and burst into tears at every turn. I don't know how many times better than those celebrities who only know how to shout out numbers. There was nothing he could do. Asshole. Let her go. An ant carrying a bag rushed over and grabbed Fen Lin's arm. One person took the lead and then a group of people gathered around. What a bastard. What the hell are you still doing? It's true. Such a beautiful woman has done so much for you and you're still not satisfied. I hate him so much. Why am I not this beautiful woman's man? Everyone around them was furious, especially when they saw Kai Ling's tears. The hearts of many people were broken. However, its power still failed to shape Fen Lin. Fen Lin's hand was still holding Kai Ling's shoulder. At this moment, Kai Ling's body suddenly sank and broke free. He covered his face and ran out of the station. Kai Lin. Stop. Fen Lin shouted. Chapter 612 Another fiancé. This is a good opportunity and these people should not ruin it. Fen Lin's body suddenly sank. Everyone around him fell. Immediately, Fen Lin stood up and jumped into the crowd. He was about to throw him out when he suddenly noticed a breath and ran towards him. Oh! A figure stood in front of Fen Lin. Smelly man, if you dare to disturb her again, I will kill you. This woman was wearing black and white casual clothes and had a bun hairstyle, revealing delicate and exquisite facial features. He had one hand in his pants pocket and his demeanor was youthful. He looked at Fen Lin with an indifferent expression. What are you doing still? Why don't you go out? Fen Lin was full of surprise. This person turned out to be in the temperament realm just like him. However, it seems that I have seen this woman somewhere. Suddenly, Fen Lin's eyes widened and he immediately took out the photo from his wallet. After searching for a long time, I finally found one. After comparison, they are exactly the same. Fen Lin was a little moved. Among the 10 photos given by his father, he saw the 9th person without deliberately looking for it. From the beginning, Zhuang, Lan Rao, Tan Qian, and Du Qingyu from Zhang City. Until Wen Renxi, Shamu and Weilinger. Finally, we meet Jin Isai at Zhang's house. 8 people in total. The woman in front of me is the 9th person. Beauty, do you have a fiancé named Fen Lin? Fen Lin pointed to himself and smiled, I am your fiancé. But your grandmother. Trash. Balahua kicked him out. These people are really scum. As soon as the previous woman left, he made rude comments to her. Not only her, but other people around her also criticized Fen Linka. This man seems quite honest. I didn't expect him to be this kind of person. Fen Lin immediately moved out of the way and handed the photo to Balahua. Look, I have your photo. I really am your fiancé. Balahua originally planned to act for the second time, but when he saw his photo, he immediately stopped. The photo is its recent appearance. Balahua took the photo and looked at it carefully. In the background was in front of the stone palace. She has a more tomboyish personality and almost never takes photographs. It immediately occurred to me that about half a year ago, my father asked me to take a photo of him. Initially she did not agree, but after her father's persuasion, she eagerly agreed. Why do you have this photo? Balahua suddenly stepped forward and grabbed Fen Lin by the neck. Isn't it a little awkward for us to talk here? Fen Lin looked around and smiled awkwardly. Humph, come with me. Balahua stuffed his pants into his pockets, turned around and walked out. Fen Lin followed her. The two walked out of the high-speed train station again. Fen Lin pointed to the garden not far away and walked over. Balahua followed Fen Lin and put the photo in her pocket. You must question your father when he returned. Okay, let me clarify first. The woman just now is from the Jili tribe. Fen Lin looked at Balahua. I wonder if you have heard of it. Of course I've heard of it. What? You're from the Jili tribe. Balahua looked suddenly surprised. Yes, but in the end I let him run away. I'm innocent. I'm not a bastard. Fen Lin felt that he still needed to clarify the matter. You said that just to explain that you are a good person and then plan to pick me up, right? Balahua asked coldly. You're thinking too much. Okay, I'll say it straight, you're at peace. Fen Lin was planning to break the engagement anyway, and he didn't bother to pretend to be a gentleman. I don't think we're suitable. How about we break the engagement? Cancel the engagement. Balahua didn't care about Fen Lin's insult. She even wanted to be more evenly matched. This will reduce the weight and make it easier to fight. That's right, we have never met before, let alone I have a relationship. Wife, Fen Lin said with a smile, you can call home first and ask. Balahua looked at Fen Lin's appearance and it didn't look like he was lying. Then he took out his mobile phone and called his father. But the phone indicated that it was not in the service area and that his father should have installed it in the space ring. My dad didn't answer the phone, but I believe you and agreed to break the engagement. Balahua didn't care if what Fen Lin said was true or false. Anyway, she definitely wouldn't marry someone like Fen Lin. Great. Fen Lin smiled and nodded, finally retreating. It's starting to get better. One left. If it's D or higher, you can still consider it, but the following ones will also be removed. There's no intersection and there's no pressure to break the commitment. By the way, my name is Fen Lin. As for the contact information, forget it. Anyway, we won't see each other in the future. Fen Lin greeted Balahua, then went in to buy a ticket and headed to Yan City. Balahua also entered the station and saw Fen Lin boarding the high-speed train. She also bought a ticket, crossed her legs, and sat here waiting in a very masculine manner. Shortly after, his cell phone rang. He took it out and looked at it. It was his father's phone number. He answered immediately. Wawa, are you here yet? A middle-aged man's voice came from the other side. I just bought the ticket, but I met a fool who said he was my fiancé. His name seemed to be Fen Lin, Balahua said calmly. What? Fen Lin. The man in front was overjoyed. Destiny. This is destiny. He is your fiancé. What the hell? Balahua frowned. Who asked you to find a fiancé for me without permission? Wawa, this is what your grandfather ordered. The person on the other side smiled and said, is he still there? Let him answer the phone. Balahua couldn't believe that this man was really her fiancé. The key is still decided by Grandpa. Her grandpa had a bad temper and kept saying that she would never marry and that no man could be good enough to she. Why did you suddenly change your tone? She came to me to break the engagement and I agreed, Balahua said calmly. Although Fen Lin broke the engagement because she didn't like him. But she didn't like Fen Lin either. It's over. It's over. Balahua roared from there. Dad, what happened? He's just a man. Bela Hewitt was a little helpless. You don't understand. Your grandfather has been imprisoned for 3 years. Do you know why he is secluded? Bela Hewitt asked in a deep voice. Aren't you going to break through? Bela Hewitt asked. That's because your grandfather was afraid that you would worry. In fact, he was seriously injured. What? Bela Hewitt suddenly stood up from his seat. We found an expert who promised to treat your grandfather, but he died halfway. Bela Hewitt paused and said, he said that the next treatment requires a top-notch natural material and an earthly treasure, but he was unwilling to give it to him because no. He is familiar with us. Let's exchange it for other natural and earthly treasures. Bela Hewitt said nervously. I said it, but people looked down on him and said that he lacked nothing but a daughter-in-law. Bela Hewitt was a little helpless, that's why your grandfather was forced to agree. God, although people have treasures of heaven and earth, it takes a long time to refine them. Your grandfather has been able to hold on for 5 years. 3 years have passed. If you break off the engagement at this time, won't you let your grandfather die? Bela Hewitt said helplessly. Damn. I didn't leave your phone number. Bela Hewitt grabbed her hair anxiously, and suddenly saw a familiar figure. The woman Feng Lin was chasing just now was Kai Lin. P.S. I was wrong, I drove a small car in the last chapter, which caused some friends to not show it. I'm currently reviewing it. Chapter 613. Greater experience. However, now he has put on oversized sports clothes, which makes his body look very bloated. And she had her hair up and she was wearing a big hat. But Bela Hewitt discovered her immediately. He immediately walked over and stood in front of Kai Lin. Hello, sister. Bela Hewitt put his pants in his pocket and greeted lightly. Hello. Kai Lin nodded and prepared to take a detour to leave. However, Bela Hewitt stopped Kai Lin again. Sister, I want to ask you something, Bela Hewitt said calmly. I want your ex-husband's contact information, whether by phone or web chat. My ex-husband. Kai Lin thought about the encounter he had just had at the high-speed train station. A Feng Lin. To escape, she pretended to be a weak woman who was often bullied by Feng Lin. This caused the group of people to stop Feng Lin. Only then could he successfully escape. Unexpectedly, this woman thought that Feng Lin was her ex-husband. Kai Lin shook her head slightly. He is not my ex-husband, we are not married yet. Sorry, he should be considered an ex-boyfriend, right? I want his contact information, Bela Hewitt continued. His grandfather is the backbone of the Bailey family and nothing should happen to him. Sister, why do you want his contact information? He is a scumbag and lied to me for 5 years. When Kai Lin said this, he rubbed his eyes again and said pitifully. Sister, you don't have to worry about this. You have already been cut in two. Bela Hewitt shook her head gently. Regardless of whether he is a scumbag or not, Bela Hewitt will choose to marry him because of his grandfather. Even if you wait until Grandpa is cured, you can get a divorce. I don't have his contact information. He was deleted and blocked a long time ago. Kai Lin shook his head. You have lived with him for 5 years, don't you remember his mobile phone number? Bela Hewitt frowned slightly. Hey, I didn't go to school and I'm stupid. Otherwise, I wouldn't have beaten my son 3 times because of the bastard. Kai Lin covered his stomach and turned pale. Bela Hewitt felt more and more that this woman was pretending. Especially now, before changing clothes, it gave people a noble aura. This is not something that ordinary people can expect to do. Sister, come with me. Bela Hewitt took Kai Lin's hand and left the station without giving her time to react. Outside the station, next to the garden where he was chatting with Feng Lin just now, Bela Hewitt stopped. Sister, what's wrong? Kai Lin asked strangely. Oh. Bela Hewitt suddenly turned around, burst into energy, and hit Kai Lin's pretty face. Kai Lin's expression changed and he immediately broke away from Bela Hewitt's hand and retreated 5 meters away. Strength is good. A master of this level would be bullied by a man. Bela Hewitt already believed Feng Lin's words. The person in front of me should be from the Jai tribe. Who are you, Feng Lin? Kai Lin looked at Bela Hewitt solemnly, judging from her speed and energy at that moment. On par with her. Who was Feng Lin? The man just now. Bela Hewitt narrowed her eyes slightly. Not bad. Kai Lin nodded. He dared to ridicule me just now, but I accidentally let it slip. I'm going to teach him a lesson. Bela Hewitt spreads her hands. You told me before. Sister, hit him a few times for me. Kai Lin said with a smile. In fact, she didn't believe in time. But if you are willing to sell a favor, you can't continue spending it on the other person. Thank you. Bela Hewitt nodded. Feng Lin returned to Yun City. I called Zhang Yu as soon as I got off the car. What's wrong with Feng Lin? Zhang Yu asked there. Fen Lin told Zhang Yu what happened with Kai Wenyu today. It turns out that she is from the Tantai family. I know it. In fact, he is Brother Chen's son. I can immediately find out where he comes from. Zhang Yu said with a smile. Haha, I'll hang up if nothing happens. Fen Lin's purpose this time was just to inform him. After all, he has a very good relationship with his father. He also gave himself such valuable training essentials. Yes, Zhang Yu nodded. Fen Lin put the phone in his pocket and prepared to study the progress again. For now, the Tantai family is in no hurry. Breaking Dawn and the True Humanity Organization are their first choices. As for Dawn and Shinran, Fen Lin gave priority to Dawn. Because real humans haven't sent anyone to commit suicide until now. On the contrary, Breaking Dawn sent many people. Fen Lin took a deep breath and prepared to return. He had barely taken a few steps when his cell phone rang. He took it out and looked at it. It was an unknown number. Hello, Fen Lin answered the phone. Fen Lin, it's me, Beilhu's voice came. Who are you? I'm Beilhu, your fiancé. We met at the station just now, Beilhu said calmly. Why do you have my mobile phone number? Fen Lin asked in surprise. You don't need to know. There is only one thing you need to know. I don't agree to break off the engagement. I want to marry you. Beilhu's tone was serious, obviously after careful consideration. Hello, what? You can't hear me clearly. The signal here is not good. After Fen Lin finished speaking, he hung up the phone. Grandpa, where did Dad find the women? Why are they all the same as cow-eyed plasters? Fen Lin's cell phone rang again before he put it back in his pocket. He looked at it and saw that it was still the same number. Hey, why don't you keep your word? You just agreed to break off the engagement. Fen Lin answered the phone again and said helplessly. Of course I agreed to break off the engagement, but I can't feel sorry for my grandfather. Beilhu told the whole story. Fen Lin rolled his eyes into this again. Dad is so shameless. Where are you now? I will marry you immediately. Beilhu said there. You're too young, Fen Lin said helplessly. We are about the same age. Beilhu was talking when she thought that Fen Lin was not talking about age. Fen Lin touched his chin and thought, and after a long time he said, otherwise, I also know some medical skills and can help your grandfather see a doctor. Really? Beilhu asked happily. Really? Just tell me the address. Fen Lin felt that Beilhu would probably be the first person to break off the engagement. Jin Isai didn't like the remaining fiancés very much. However, Jin Isai refused to break off the engagement. Wen Ranxi, a big star, also didn't make it clear. The few that remain are even more difficult. There's no urgent matter now, so he plans to withdraw one first to gain more experience. Okay, we are in Bishi, Jiangnan. Call me when you arrive. Beilhu's voice was filled with a smile. By market. 2 hours. Fen Lin knew this place. Bishi is located on the northern boundary of Jiangnan. Not far from Jiabai. Fen Lin was too lazy to take the high-speed train, and immediately ran to Fengshan and entered the ruins to explain to Zhu Boying. Then he left in his Mercedes-Benz S-Class. I must admit that this car is much faster than his Huangling Hongwen. 2 hours later. Fen Lin had already arrived at Bishi and immediately called Beilhu and informed her of his location. After waiting on the roadside for more than 10 minutes, Beilhu appeared in front of Fen Lin. He opened the door and sat in the passenger seat. Go all the way to the west. There is a big mountain there. Our sect is there. Zong. What sect? Fen Lin asked strangely. What sword sect? What? The Holy Sword of the White Emperor, the best sword in China. Fen Lin paled in shock. P.S. The 2 block chapters have been reported to the editor. Chapter 614. One person can destroy. The White Emperor Holy Sword that Fen Lin learned was a powerful weapon for him in battle. Originally, in battle, he could only use divine counterattacks and quick sneak attacks. But since he learned the White Emperor Holy Sword, his attacks have become more unpredictable. The second master also said that the Bijian sect was once very glorious, but now it has become lonely. Fen Lin had wanted to see them for a long time, but he didn't expect them to be in Jiangnan. The White Emperor's Holy Sword was lost a long time ago. Currently, in the White Sword sect, only my grandfather can attack with the sword. However, in his opinion, it is too elegant and not as good as an ordinary attack. Beilhu didn't find it strange. As long as the White Sword sect is mentioned, anyone who knows the ancient warriors can almost name the White Emperor Holy Sword. Fen Lin arrived at West Bishi. At the foot of the mountain there is a large hotel. Fen Lin parked his car in the parking lot outside. According to Beilhu, this hotel is owned by their Bijian sect. The entrance to the White Sword sect ruins is on the mountain behind. During this period, Balahua told Fen Lin about the overall situation of the sect. There are two forces in the White Sword sect, namely the sect leader and the Council of Elders. Since his grandfather went into seclusion, his father, Balahua, became the acting director. But the great elder of the Presbyterian Church entered the advanced stage of tempering 2 years ago. Hundreds of kilometers of fire, just the peak of penetration. In recent years, the Presbyterian Church has grown stronger and received more and more resources. In the Presbyterian Church alone there are 4 kingdoms of temper. Originally, there was no one on the head side except Balahua's grandfather. Balahua has been using all his resources on Balahua. Balahua lived up to expectations, went out to practice, and finally entered the realm of tempering. But still, the Presbyterian Church is twice as big as here. Fen Lin shook his head gently and continued listening to what the others were saying. Baijian Ansong felt lonely. I used to think that the Baijian sect was trash. Now it seems that I have thought too much. There are masters in the late stage of tempering, which are almost the same as those in the 9 others. However, Fen Lin was also able to glimpse the strength of the White Sword sect in the past. After all, he is very strong despite being alone. There's a well halfway up the mountain. There's a fence surrounding the dry well. Vegetables are planted everywhere. Balahua pointed to the mouth of the well. This is the entrance to the White Sword sect. After saying that, he jumped down. Fen Lin also intervened. After falling about 20 meters, I regained my sight. They landed on a patch of green grass. Fen Lin looked into the distance and found that there were mountains and water here, which were very beautiful. There are many stone buildings around. What's more unusual is that many stone buildings have rusty swords stabbed into them. Miss. The guards on both sides lowered their heads when they saw Balahua. Both of them were wearing black suits and carried long swords on their backs. Thank you for your hard work. Balahua stuffed his pants into his pockets, looked at Fen Lin and said, let's go in. Fen Lin followed Balahua and walked deeper into the ruins. Along the way, Fen Lin found many people training in the distance. Almost everyone has weapons, from daggers to long swords. Hua was back. At this time, a man in a casual suit walked from a distance. He's probably in his 30s. He looked at Balahua with frivolous eyes that seemed to smile but not smile at all. Fen Lin observed this man and understood the early stages of the realm. Reaching this point at age 30 is considered a talent. Yeah. Balahua just nodded slightly, then looked at Fen Lin. Fen Lin, let's go. Stop. Xia Lang's eyes gradually narrowed. Hua, who allowed you to bring outsiders into the sect? How? Do you know that I am a stranger? Fen Lin asked from the side. I am the youngest elder of the Presbyterian Council of the White Sword sect. All White Sword sect disciples must greet me when they see me. Xia Lang stood with his hands behind his hands and looked at Fen Lin with a proud expression. This is the White Sword sect. My grandfather is the boss and my father is the acting boss. Who should I bring and should I inform him? Balahua sneered, took Fen Lin's hand and walked in. In our White Sword sect, we have the sword energy left by our ancestor. It's easy for this kid to get in, but he definitely won't live long if he gets out, Xia Lang said sadly. Oh no. Do you dare, boy, to curse your grandfather? Fen Lin turned around and shouted. How presumptuous. If you dare to insult the elders of the White Sword sect, they will kill you without mercy. Xia Lang's eyes were fierce. He waved his hand, and a silver sword appeared in his hand. Fen Lin raised his eyebrows and he dared to use his space ring only after he had mastered the initial stage. Can you catch it? Although Fen Lin hasn't taken action now, Fen Lin's name is already written on the space ring. You're just in the early stages of penetration. How dare you act so arrogantly in front of me? Balahua's eyebrows raised and he stepped on the ground. Boom. The terrifying pressure swept through Sharon instantly, sending him flying. Let's go. Balahua took Fen Lin's hand and walked deeper. Sharon adjusted the form of his body in the air and firmly stepped on the ground. He looked gloomily at Balahua's back. Sooner or later I will make you cry and call me dad. Why are you such a coward? If I were you, I would stop him from getting up immediately. Fen Lin found that Balahua did not use any force and pursed her lips. Do you think I am the same as you? Brainless. Balahua stopped and said, I'm telling you, you'd better heal my grandfather, otherwise I won't save you. Fen Lin smiled slightly and don't say anything. Although this Baijian sect is quite strong but not Fen Lin, can be destroyed by a single person. Hua, you are finally back. A strong man wearing a vest and big pants came from a distance. He had a shaved head, a tall build, and a loving smile. Dad. Balahua smiled and ran. Fen Lin rolled his eyes. It turned out that this man was the nominal head of the Baijin sect. If you don't know this picture, you might think he is a gym trainer. Dad, let me introduce you, this is Fen Lin. Bela Hewitt turned around and pointed to Fen Lin, who was following him. My dear nephew, you are indeed a talented person. When will you and my daughter get married? Bela Hewitt immediately rushed over and grabbed Fen Lin's hands. Uncle, I'm not here to get married. Fen Lin stretched out his hand. What's more, I have a wife. It's good to have a wife. There are so many people and we won't care. I hope you don't mind either. After all, my daughter is a bit mediocre. Bela Hewitt grabbed Fen Lin's hand again, and even a sad expression could be seen on his face. Dad. What are you talking about? Bela Hewitt stamped her feet angrily. Fen Lin shivered and got goosebumps. He took out his hand again and stuffed it into his pants pocket. I learned a lot of medical skills from my dad. I'm here to treat Grandpa. What? Hearing this, Bela Hewitt's eyes widened suddenly. You, can it? It should be possible. It is a treasure of heaven and earth. I can also steal it from my father for you, but at least let me see what the injury is, Fen Lin said calmly. Okay. Bela Hewitt nodded vigorously. Master. The third elder and the eighth elder are here. At this moment, a woman quickly ran over from a distance, raised her head in panic, and suddenly saw Fen Lin. Are you Fen Lin? Sui, long time no see. Fen Lin smiled and shrugged. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Wando Fanfic Novellas, we cordially invite you to visit our channel. There you will find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 615. The members of Infernal Affairs have arrived. It was Sui who told Fen Lin about the Fire Lotus. Of course, Fen Lin also gave him a piece at the end. I remember that when I first met her, she was in the middle stage of transformation. Now we have reached the realm of resonance. It is definitely not comparable to those geniuses, but it can still be considered a talent. From now on, we will slowly develop into the Baijin sect. It shouldn't be difficult to look for a higher level position in the future. Do you know each other? Bela Hewitt asked strangely. Hua, this, I saw her when we were fighting for the Fire Lotus. Fen Lin interrupted Sui and gave Sui a Fire Lotus seed. He thought that Sui should do it alone, so he saved face and was not prepared to tell the truth. However, there were masters there at the beginning, and the earthly demons of the Nine Nethers were also there, but in the end, I snatched the Fire Lotus from him. After Fen Lin said this, he stopped talking. Sui guessed Fen Lin's intention and couldn't help but smile. What? It turns out that you gave him the Fire Lotus seed. Bela Hewitt asked in surprise. Hearing this, Fen Lin frowned slightly. Could it be that Sui handed over the Fire Lotus seed? Yes, Fen Lin saved my life and gave me a Fire Lotus seed, Sui replied in a low voice. Good nephew, you see, what is fate? In the end, my daughter ate the Fire Lotus seed you gave me. Bela Hewitt ran over again and grabbed Fen Lin's hand. You're quite loyal. At first I thought you would use it yourself. Fen Lin looked at Sui with a smile. Master treats me as his own daughter, not to mention that Hua is at the peak of penetration and needs powerful heavenly materials and earthly treasures to break through. Sui raised his head and smiled. Fen Lin was about to speak when he felt two breaths behind him. He looked back. I found out that Sharon was among them just now. With him was an old man with a goatee. He is in the middle stage of temperament. Isn't the third elder retreating? Why do you want to come to my house? Bela Hewitt asked with a smile. This person's name is Zhang Sanwei and he is the third elder of the Baijin sect. Because someone is disobeying the laws of the sect. Zhang San stood with his hands behind his back and looked at Fen Lin indifferently. A foreigner dares to insult our White Sword sect elders. Master, what do you think we should do about it? This. Fen Lin, who did you insult? Bela Hewitt asked with a smile. I didn't insult you, Fen Lin said with a smile, I just told the facts. You bastard. You just said that you are my grandfather and said bad things about the White Sword sect. Xia Lang pointed at Fen Lin and said. I was with Fen Lin just now, why didn't I listen to you? Bela Hewitt asked. Because they are in the same group. Xia Lang sneered, insulting the White Sword sect is worthy of death. Who among you dares to do something? Bela Hewitt stood in front of Fen Lin and said sternly. Presumptuous. Zhang Sanwei shouted coldly, Bela Hewitt, although you are the daughter of the acting chief, but in terms of seniority, you are not old. Are you discussing seniority with me now? All right. So, according to antiquity, you are my father's servant. When you see the master, why don't you kneel and salute? Bela Hewitt replied tit for tat. It's okay to be angry at normal times, this time she entered the realm of temper. She is no longer the bastard flower she once was. Don't get excited. Fen Lin smiled and patted Ballyhoo on the shoulder. Take a step back first and let me pretend and no, let me say something. How dare you, the mere White Sword sect, be so presumptuous in front of me? Master, look, you insulted the White Sword sect. Xie Lang laughed out loud, never expecting that such a fool would exist. What's wrong with my insult? You don't even know the Dakan realm. Do you really think you are still the same White Sword sect? Fen Lin took out the red certificate from his body and said, open your eyes wide and see what this is. Red Great A. Mission Pass. Xie Lang looked at the words above and muttered in a low voice. That's right. I am a member of the National Hidden Legion and I was ordered to come here to do something. Are you sure you want to kill me? Fen Lin put the red certificate in his pocket. Try to touch your grandfather. I can't guarantee that the Wuji Master will do it. I'm here to be a guest. Wujian, a trace of fear flashed in Zhang Sanwei's eyes. There were indeed many masters over there. I heard that the lowest level is the realm of penetration. Not to mention to the others, Shan Wuji's boss, Ji Guangling. When Zhang Sanwei was a teenager, they were all teachers who surprised everyone. Who are you trying to scare? This certificate can be forged for a few dollars, Sharon said sternly. Yes, this is a lie. Come on. If you have the ability to cut my neck, come and cut me if you're a brother. Fen Lin took the initiative to stretch his neck. Xie Lang clenched his fists. Fen Lin was very confident, but he was no longer confident, so he looked at Zhang Sanwei. What are you, the secret army, doing in our sect? Zhang Sanwei asked, narrowing his eyes. I was asked to talk to the head of the White Sword sect. You, a mere old man, don't deserve to know, Fen Lin said lightly. You, Xie Lang's eyes burst into flames. Yes. This is true, but the leader's decision-making also requires the consent of the Council of Elders. Zhang Sanwei grabbed Xie Lang's arm. Let's go. Brat. Xie Lang looked coldly. Fen Lin followed Zhang Sanwei and left. Seeing them leave, Sui breathed a sigh of relief. Nephew, are you from the countryside? Beizhu walked over and asked. Not bad, Fen Lin suddenly realized. No wonder he wanted to catch the Jili tribe at the station before. Let's go for treatment now, Fen Lin said with a smile when he saw them leaving. We can't go for the time being. Beizhu smiled bitterly. Isakun Elder is guarding the underground stone room where my father retreats. What? It wasn't like this before I left. Beizhu grabbed Beizhu's arm. Do you think the Presbyterian Council can let you go for no reason? Beizhu shook his head. It is said that he is a guard, but it is actually surveillance. They also know that your grandfather is injured. Isn't that right? Are you afraid that the old man will be attacked? Fen Lin left. Asked. Beizhu nodded, afraid. But my father is also in the late stage of temper, so they dare not act rashly for the time being. But now, they seem to dare, Fen Lin explained with a smile. Because you can cooperate with a country. If you send some Wuji members at random, you can resolve the Council of Elders. The three people in front of them were stunned at the same time. Well said. If the state intervenes, what do a few old people mean? Therefore, they probably took advantage of the old man's injury to kill him. Once Beizhu's father dies, the acting boss, will die at any time. After a few elders take care of Beizhu, they can easily control the White Sword sect. When the time comes, they will choose one of their own as their leader and will not agree to cooperate with a country. The country can't do anything. No. It's all your fault. People of any country are in big trouble now. Beizhu's eyes were slightly red. Don't blame Fen Lin, sooner or later they will take action. Beizhu's voice was low. Don't be nervous. Fen Lin pointed his thumb at himself in a very pretentious manner. The country's infernal affairs members have arrived. Chapter 616 White Emperor Holy Sword. Eugen, follow me. Where is? Beizhu looked around. I'll clean myself. Can't you see my fingers? Fen Lin rolled his eyes. Me. I'm a member of the country. This time he came to break the engagement, and what he wanted was to be clean and tidy without wasting time. Therefore, he didn't bother doing little tricks and simply smashed them with all his might. That means the later stages of tempering are more problematic. But if there's only one elder, it will be much easier to handle. Are you dreaming? Beizhu pursed her lips disdainfully. Hua, you can't say that. If you break through the realm, you can enter Wujian. Beizhu explained on the side. Of course I know this, but Wujian members are also divided into high and low. They are connected to Wujian and are at the lowest level. Beizhu looked at Fen Lin. Even if you are a member of Wujian, what's the use? They are all tempered realms. What should we do? Fen Lin spread his hands. You are still asking me what to do. It's all your fault. Beilahu's voice was a few decibels louder. You can't help it, why don't you let me try? Fen Lin raised his face with a smile. No need, I'm enough. After saying that, Fen Lin followed his breathing and walked deeper. Crazy. Stop. Beilahu hurriedly followed Fen Lin. The palace where the presbytery is located. Sharon was sitting on a stone table, crying. In front of him, besides Zhang Sanwei just now, there was also an old man, bald man with wrinkles on his face. This person is Xiaoshi, the great elder of the Bijian sect. Are you telling the truth? True. That guy Beilahu wants to unite the country to deal with us. Xiaolang grabbed Xiaoshi's arm. Brother, that guy is very confident in the ID, doesn't look fake, Zhang Sanwei also said. The way the easier it is for them to resolve the crisis in the White Sword sect is to cooperate with a country. Xiaoshi nodded slightly. Back then, old Beilahu was so proud and arrogant that he rejected the country's invitation. Unexpectedly, brother, what should we do? Zhang Sanwei looked solemn. There is no lack of Dakan realm in the world. If you send someone, it will be the day of our death. It seems that we can only kill Beilahu and destroy them, Xiaoshi Lin Feng said. Are you going to take action? Zhang Sanwei muttered in a low voice. They had already planned how to deal with Beilahu. Because the fire has grown. Now that it has begun to temper, this talent is frightening. If we don't act now, within a few years people might do it. The sooner the better. Our power in the sect is stabilized. Even if we kill the Beilahu family, there will not be great chaos. Xiaoshi stood up. Beilahu is injured. We are both in the late stage of the temper. I can kill him in a single fight, let alone you. Xiaolang was so excited that his grandfather was finally going to take action. He once said that in the future, the head of the White Sword sect would be his sooner or later. Grandpa, can Beilahu be disabled first? It simply cuts off all of their meridians. I want to have fun with her, Xiaolang said with a smile from the side. Good for nothing boy. Xiaoshi shook his head slightly. Okay, I'll say that for you. Thank you, Grandpa. Xiaolang's face was filled with ecstasy. Fen Lin has arrived in front of a stone palace. The top of the palace is covered with rusty swords. At the entrance of the palace there's an old man with a scar on his face, with a long sword stuck at the side. It is the second elder of the Bijian sect, Wenchang. His strength has reached its peak in the middle tempering stage. Fen Lin, don't speak. Beilahu followed him, and immediately stood in front of Fen Lin, fearing that he would offend Guanchang. This is currently the second master of the Bijian sect and has a very bad temper. What are you doing here? On the armchair at the entrance, Guanchang. He opened his eyes and asked calmly, Second elder, I want to visit Grandpa when he returns from this experience, Beilahu said with a smile. No, your grandfather is in retirement, no one can disturb him, Guanchang said coldly, everyone go back. Okay and okay. Beilahu went to Fen Lin, took his arm and walked back. I am a member of the country. I was ordered to see you. How dare you stop me? Fen Lin pointed at Guanchang domineeringly. Damn. I don't care about you. Beilahu angrily threw away Fen Lin's hand. Did this man really think that he didn't dare to make a move? The people of this country are very powerful. Guanchang took out the sword at his side and stood up indifferently. Huh? Are you so crazy? Come. Cut me. Fen Lin pointed to his neck and walked towards Guanchang. Come and cut me if you're a brother. Guanchang sneered and cut Fen Chang's neck. Brush. Fen Lin instantly retreated 5 meters away. It's your grandmother. Do you really dare to cut her? Of course I have to give you face. Guanchang bowed, approached Fen Lin in the blink of an eye and slashed with his sword. Duh. Just as Fen Lin was about to act, a dark golden sword blocked the sword. Beilahu had already appeared in front of Fen Lin. The weapons collided, producing a harsh metallic sound, accompanied by a series of sparks. You stupid. Why don't you run away? Beilahu's teeth were itchy with hatred. This Fen Lin did not help at all and even caused a lot of trouble. In the distance, Beilahu felt Qijin's vibration and secretly thought something was wrong. Unexpectedly, in the end, the swords were still facing each other. But with his maximum combat power, he was unable to intervene in the tempering battle. Just when he was helpless, 3 people appeared in the distance. They are Grand Elder Xiaoshi, 3rd Elder Zhang Sanwei, and 4th Elder Li Pump. All of them are in the area of tempering. Now that they appear at the same time, everyone knows what they want to do. Kill. Xiaoshi discovered that Beilahu was here and immediately issued the order. It doesn't take long to kill and break through to the realm of tempering. Let's go. Beilahu grabbed Sui's shoulders and rushed towards Fen Lin. They fled without hope of survival. The only way is to approach his father. I hope his father is destroyed forever and still has a fighting chance. Boom. On Fen Lin's side, Wen Chan raised his sword. Terrifying energy enveloped the sword body, and the silver sword glowed red. With a violent shock, Bailahua's hand was knocked unconscious and the golden sword flew out. However, Wen Chan did not know that the great elder was ready to take action. So it didn't kill Bailahua, but staggered her body and killed Fen Lin. Be careful. Bailahua turned around and shouted. But Fen Lin had his hands in his trouser pockets and seemed unconcerned. Brat. I really thought you were a member of the country, so I wouldn't dare kill you. Wen Chan attacked Fen Lin without hesitation. At the same time, Bailahua and others also appeared one after another. The number 1 sword in China, the White Emperor Holy Sword. Eugen, follow me, Fen Lin said calmly. Swish, 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 and as soon as he finished speaking, 4 dark red swords condensed around him, surrounding Fen Lin. That. Wen Chan's attack was about to fall, and when he saw this scene, he immediately retreated. Not only him, but also that 5 flowers in the distance. Bailahua, the Presbyterian Church and others became more shocked. Oh. Fen Lin still had his hands in his trouser pockets, but the 4 long swords seemed to have eyes as they attacked Wen Chan at the same time. Chapter 617 Must catch. 4 fiery swords attacked Wen Chan from the front, back, and left. The speed was so fast that the sword itself could not be seen, only 4 flashes of light could be seen. Wen Chan roared, his fists could not defeat the 4 hands, and his body could not resist. He can only use strong energy to protect his body. Head straight towards Fen Lin to attack. Fen Lin, be careful. When Bailahua saw this, she immediately burst into energy. You better take care of yourself. Fen Lin put his hands in his trouser pockets, as straight as a sword, and looked at Wen Chan disdainfully. Just as Wen Chan approached Fen Lin, 4 more blue swords appeared in front of Fen Lin. Impossible. Wen Chan's heart was filled with huge waves. It belongs to your grandmother. You just wanted to cop me, right? Take my sword. Fen Lin's eyes narrowed and the 4 blue swords combined to form a giant blue sword. The blue giant sword is 8 inches wide and nearly 2 meters long. Shout. The giant sword rose into the air and slashed down from a high place in an instant. When Wen Chan saw this, he immediately blocked his sword in front of him. Boom. When the giant sword fell, there was a storm. The shock caused Wen Chan's arms to spit out a mouthful of blood as if he had been electrocuted. The ground beneath his feet collapsed and his entire calf sank into the ground. Bailahua's eyes widened in shock when Fen Lin used this move. Its hidden level was also revealed. Bailahua could sense that Fen Lin was only slightly stronger than her. At best, it is the tempering peak in the initial stage. However, Wen Chan is the midterm peak. Fen Lin was able to suppress him and hit him. Could it be that this is the White Emperor's holy sword? Not only Bailahua, but also Bailahua couldn't believe it. In fact, he can use the lost holy sword of the White Emperor. But this is not enough. There is a stronger presence in the Presbyterian Church. Kill me. How could Xiaoshi dare to watch a show? This young man can suppress masters who had reached the peak of their temper in the medium term. Even if Miley can still fight, several of them will end in failure. He roared low and the 2 elders next to him attacked Fen Lin together. Fen Lin. Bailahua burst out with energy, ready to help. Why are you nervous? Didn't I just say that? 1 person is enough. Fen Lin's body was gradually surrounded by flames. Death. Xiaoshi was the first to appear behind Fen Lin. A hand reached for Fen Lin's heart. Brush. His hand penetrated Fen Lin's body. Bailahua looked horrified. Bailahua and Sui couldn't believe it either. He was very lively just now, but he didn't expect, haha, Big Brother is even more powerful. He can defeat the enemy with 1 move. Zhang Sanwei said with a smile. No. Be careful, second brother. Xiaoshi suddenly roared. Brush. Suddenly, blood gushed from the back of Wen Chan's neck and he fell to the ground with a plop. Fen Lin turned the scalpel and chuckled. You can actually defeat the enemy with just 1 move. Seeing this, Bailahua breathed a sigh of relief. But then he took a deep breath. A master who surpassed Fen Lin by a full level was killed like this. Brat. Xiaoshi was furious. I will kill you. Whoosh. He would use the power he had tempered in the later stages to explode to the extreme, and the entire ruins began to shake like an earthquake. Boom. He attacked Fen Lin with his body, but Fen Lin suddenly disappeared in front of him. The flame clone just moved suddenly. Brush. A sword pierced Zhang Sanwei's forehead. The flames dissipated, revealing Fen Lin's indifferent face. This is called the second section. He kicked Zhang Sanwei, weighed the scalpel vigorously, and shook off the blood. Li Pump, the fourth elder next to him, was so scared that his legs were shaking. In the middle 2 stages of tempering, it disappeared in the blink of an eye. What else can you do in this first stage of tempering? Without saying a word, he immediately fled out of the ruins. Fen Lin put a hand in his pants pocket, smiled and turned to look at Xiaoshi. Come on, let's play. You think I'm afraid of you? Xiaoshi looked gloomy and suddenly attacked Fen Lin. Fen Lin avoided him instinctively. He is not the fourth son, and when facing a master who is stronger than him, he usually avoids the edge. However, Xiaoshi did not continue chasing Fen Lin, but instead fled outside the ruins. Damn. You're running away. Fen Lin shook his head. People who fear death are generally not easy to deal with. He could come for revenge at any time. Beizhuo reacted from shock. He ran over excitedly and grabbed Fen Lin's hands. Nephew. You are so amazing. When will you marry my daughter? Let me go see the old man first. Fen Lin turned around. He took out his hand and walked towards the palace in front of him. Seeing Fen Lin leave, Beizhuo immediately approached Beizhuo. Hua. We must catch him. What to catch? You're a little stronger than me. A blush appeared on Beizhuo's cheeks, and she quickly followed Fen Lin. Suyi, we have to catch you too. Beizhuo turned around and said. Master, what does it have to do with me? Suyi rolled his eyes. Fen Lin is a wife. You two will definitely not be bullied together. After Beizhuo finished speaking, he followed him. Suyi was stunned on the spot, a little lost. Inside the palace there is a stone door. Fen Lin opened the door and behind the door was the stairs leading down. He followed the stairs to the end. There is a stone step not far away and on top of it is an old man with a long beard. He raised his eyes and looked at the people entering. Grandpa. Beizhuo, who was following him, ran crying and hugged Beilimi. The child is suffering, and Grandpa can't help at all. Beilimi burst into tears and clenched her fists. Grandpa has become a useless person, so he can't help. Dad, make yourself a useless person. Hua has reached the time of tempering. Kingdom, as for Hua's fiancé, he is stronger, and the Presbyterian church that is pressing on us was destroyed by Fen Lin in just a few breaths. Beizhuo walked over with a smile. What? Are you Hua's fiancé? Beilimi looked at Fen Lin in surprise. Since Beizhuo's talent was revealed, she felt that no one in the world was worthy of her granddaughter. I didn't expect that there was someone who could surpass my granddaughter in terms of talent. Fen Lin grabbed Beilimi's wrist and felt her, then jumped onto the steps and touched her back. Everyone, please come out. Don't bother while I treat him. Fen Lin already knew how Beilimi was injured. He also wrongly blamed his father. He did not die on purpose, but because he could not be treated at the time. Treatment. Beilimi then remembered that since he was her granddaughter's fiancé, he was the master's son. It is normal for a son to inherit his father's business and have good medical skills. Grandpa, he is here to treat you. I will explain to you later. Beizhuo turned her head and pushed Beizhuo. Get out, let's go out. Dad. Cooperate, Beizhuo confessed, and left. The meridians were reversed. They were all tangled before. At least, you went crazy while learning the exercises. Fen Lin jumped down from the steps and said calmly, you should be lucky to meet my father. Otherwise, your cultivation. It will definitely disappear. You mean I still have cultivation? Then why can't I use ki? A look appeared in Beilimi's eyes. P.S. Brothers, the 2 chapters that some people said couldn't be opened should be unlocked. Chapter 618 Lord, times have changed. I'd better treat you first. Fen Lin took out the silver needle from his body. If a person is a precise instrument, then the meridians are the circuits. Beilimi's lines were tangled and even broken. Dad combed her lines one by one and arranged them in their original positions. But there are differences between people and instruments. The instrument wiring can be fixed with a few screws. The human body needs to grow again. Before this, if ki is used without authorization, the meridians will move irregularly again. That's why Dad sealed his ki. Fen Lin checked just now and found that his meridians had almost recovered. Then he inserted some silver needles and hit them hard. Buzz. The silver needle made a soft sound and began to vibrate madly. Beilimi felt that various parts of her body seemed swollen. Suddenly, Fen Lin retrieved all the silver needles with a wave of his hand and then slapped Beilimi at Ling eye with his palm. Call. Beilimi felt her body seem to soften instantly. The feeling of enlightenment made him feel as if he had been born new. He raised his hand and his palm gradually became covered with red ki. I recovered. Beilimi shouted excitedly. From now on, we should practice this skill step by step. Once we are familiar with them, we can play with fancy things. Fen Lin used key to sterilize the silver needle and stuck it into his belt again. Bellamy sighed. Hey, I just wanted to restore the sect to its former glory, so I practiced the White Emperor Holy Sword scabbard. Sheath. What do you mean? Fen Lin asked with a frown. Our White Emperor's Holy Sword is divided into two parts. The upper part is the body of the sword, which was lost by the previous sect leader. Bellamy opened her palm, and a small black scabbard appeared in it. The scabbard is the bottom. Fen Lin observed carefully and found that there were many small words on the scabbard. No wonder you're in trouble. You can't drive a car and you still want to drift. Fen Lin took out a sword-shaped piece of iron and handed it to Bellamy. Let's see, is this the sword? Secret of the White Emperor. Why, at your house? Bellamy was shocked beyond words. He shakily took the small sword and inserted it into the sheath. I found it in a sect, and by the way, I practiced it. As Fen Lin spoke, several long swords appeared in front of him. You can actually master the White Emperor Holy Sword. Bellamy couldn't believe it. Practicing the White Emperor Holy Sword requires absolute control over ki. He didn't expect Fen Lin to be able to do it at such a young age. Okay, this can be considered as returning the property to its original owner. Fen Lin spread his hands, showing that he was not interested in the scabbard. In fact, he was very curious about the pot, but he was always embarrassed to open his mouth directly. Haha. Let's go out. Let's go out. Bellamy took Fen Lin's arm and walked out. Beilhu and Beilhu outside were fidgeting nervously. In comparison, Sui was much quieter. Heptars, heptars, heptars. At this moment, a burst of laughter came from the palace. Everyone looked for the sound. Bellamy pulled Fen Lin out with a smile. Hua, the banquet will be held soon. I want to announce my granddaughter's marriage. Grandpa, are you okay? Beilhu asked excitedly. Of course. As Bellamy spoke, her body was surrounded by flames. Congratulations, master. Sui knelt down happily. Old man, let's forget about getting married. This time I'm here to break the engagement. Fen Lin looked at Beilhu and briefly explained what happened between the two. When everyone around heard this, all of their expressions froze. Beilhu, I have cured the old man and you don't have to worry about anything. Let's break off the engagement peacefully. We will remain friends from now on, Fen Lin said with a smile. Beilhu put her hands in her trouser pockets, stood still for a few seconds, and nodded gently. Okay, we will be friends from now on. Old man, please put away the skills of the White Emperor Holy Sword. I'm leaving. Fen Lin came back. A wave of clues. Damn, let me see the scabbard. Kung Fu. Fen Lin, do you have the sword body of the White Emperor Holy Sword? Beilhu suddenly asked. I found this technique in another sect and gave it to the old man. Fen Lin nodded with a smile and continued to hint wildly. The old man had physical problems because he forcibly practiced the lower part. I only practiced the upper part. So I'm fine. Thank you. Fen Lin, I have remembered your kindness towards our sect. Beilhu bowed gratefully. You're welcome, I'll leave if nothing happens. Fen Lin said with a smile. He stepped forward and walked out, thinking. Why didn't this old man stop him? Fen Lin, wait a minute. Bellamy suddenly shouted. Fen Lin was delighted, but there was a bewildered expression on his face. He turned around and asked, Is there anything else, old man? Let's go after dinner, Bellamy said with a smile. I clean it. Fen Lin didn't know if the old man had low emotional intelligence or did it on purpose. Okay. Fen Lin nodded with a smile. Speaking of which, he had been busy all day and didn't really eat anything. Hua, take Fen Lin down first. I'll talk to my precious granddaughter. Bellamy put her arm around Beilhu's shoulders and turned to leave. Nephew, let's have a nice chat. Beilhu put his arm around Fen Lin's shoulders and walked away. Sui also followed the two of them and left together. Grandpa, what's wrong with you? Beilhu asked with a smile. What do you think of Fen Lin? Bellamy asked in a low voice. How do I know? He and I just met today. Beilhu's eyes were a little nervous. Besides, I don't like me and I can't be sweet if I'm too strong. So, have you ever heard of rice? Cooked rice? Bellamy chuckled. Grandpa. Beilhu stopped her feet timidly. If you ask me to do that kind of thing, you might as well let me die. Anyway, I'll take out the good wine I've collected in a while and I will compete with Fen Lin. Bellamy's good wine is made from some low-quality materials and treasures. In its scope, ordinary alcohol can easily suppress them. But the wine made by Tiat Baba is not so easy to suppress. After saying that, Bellamy left here and went to get wine. Balahua stood motionless, feeling her cheeks burning. She was completely blank about love. Fen Lin is making fun of his figure. I won't cook with him. Balahua snorted coldly and walked towards the front of the ruins. The Great Elder's palace of the White Sword Sect. Sharon discovered that the battle in the depths had ended. His smile did not fade. Balahua has looked down on him since she was little, but this time let her taste her own glory. When Fen Lin was chatting with her, she had a reaction. Balahua saw Xiaolang in the distance. He couldn't help but laugh. It turns out that the Great Elder escaped just now and ignored him. Fen Lin walked over with a smile. Are you alive? Xiaolang looked at Fen Lin doubtfully. Why are you talking to your grandfather? Fen Lin walked over and slapped Xiaolang. Shit. Do you dare to hit me? Even my grandfather never hit me. Xiaolang was so angry that he gathered his strength and punched Fen Lin. Fen Lin easily grabbed his arm and gently twisted it. Click. Ah. Sharon screamed in pain. The water in the space ring is very deep. You can't grab it. Grandpa will grab it for you. Fen Lin took off the ring and then let go of his wrist. Boy. You are looking for death. My grandfather will definitely kill you. Xiaolang covered his arm and roared at Fen Lin. Wake up, sir, times have changed. Fen Lin smiled and put away the ring. Chapter 619. Everyone has their own thoughts. In the distance, Balahua also approached. He became angry when he saw Xiaolang and took advantage of his grandfather being the Grand Elder to dominate the sect. Don't take him seriously as acting director. Now, at last, there is the possibility of judging him. Xiaolang, kneel down and fight mercilessly. Balahua said coldly. In order to prevent Xiaoshi from returning, he is still needed as a hostage. Balahua, I advise you to go see your father. He is probably dead. Xiaolang crossed his arms and smiled contemptuously. Now, my grandfather from the White Sword Sect has the final say. Damn. Balahua slapped Xiaolang in the face. The terrifying force caused his body to fly to the side. You dared to hit me. Xiaolang was hit so hard that blood came out of his mouth. Pointed at Balahua and howled angrily. What's wrong with hitting you? Let your grandfather come. Balahua snorted coldly. At this time, Balahua came from afar with his trouser pockets in his pocket. Xiaolang looked at Balahua. She was fine. Could it be that her Operation Grandpa failed? Just when he was deep in thought, he discovered that Balahua had also appeared. Seeing his renewed appearance, Xiaolang's face turned pale. He had now guessed what happened. The bad things my grandfather did had nothing to do with me. Xiaolang was so scared that he immediately knelt down and bowed. It's too late. Balahua appeared in front of Xiaolang in the blink of an eye and knocked unconscious with a single blow. This man is still useful. I will defeat him first. Balahua grabbed Xiaolang's arm and dragged him away from here. Balahua watched all this indifferently. During his retreat, Balahua often complained to him. He knew everything about what happened to the sect, but he couldn't use ki and couldn't help. He wouldn't feel any sympathy for Sharon. Fen Lin, go have a drink. This is my most precious wine. Most people can't drink it. Balahua walked towards Fen Lin, put his arm around his shoulders and walked forward. Along the way, many disciples were excited to see their leader come out of his seclusion. In recent years, the disciples, have suffered many grievances. Balahua led Fen Lin to a stone table. She waved her hand gently, and a jug of wine the size of a basketball appeared. She took out 2 more large bowls and put one first. Balahua smiled and stretched out her hand. Fen Lin took a sip and immediately frowned. Treasures of heaven and earth. You can taste it in one bite. Balahua also poured herself a bowl. Once upon a time when the White Sword Sect was in its glory, there were only 2 things that the White Sword Sect was most proud of. The swords. And the wine. As he spoke, he drank all the wine in the bowl and sighed. Now things have changed. It's a really good thing. I just took a sip and got a little drunk. Fen Lin picked up the big bowl and drank it all in one gulp. Good drinker. Come again. Balahua poured another bowl for Fen Lin, and then winked at Balahua not far away. Prepare some dishes to accompany the wine. Balahua looked at Grandpa's eyes and face. He suddenly turned red and left in a hurry. Balahua has her own little thoughts. Why doesn't Fen Lin? His ability to drink is extraordinary, not to mention that he can sober up by stimulating acupuncture points. When Balahua gets drunk and asks for the sword hilt, he will definitely give it to her. Then, with the intention of getting each other drunk, the two got into a fight. Baby. Come back. In a few breaths, the wine jug was empty. Balahua was surprised. This was not just any wine. However, he had a lot of this kind of wine and he didn't believe that Lin would get drunk without it. Let's go. Bellamy put her hand on the ground and picked up the wine forcefully. There were 5 or 6 soldiers piled up nearby. Such a large amount was enough to fill his stomach, and Lin would lie down even if it was a huge amount. Lin had the same idea. One bowl for you and one for me. In the end, we all became irritable. They held the drinking jars. Lin felt everything burning from his mouth, down his esophagus to his stomach. This kind of medicinal wine with the effect of heavenly materials and earthly treasures went straight to his forehead, causing his thinking to gradually become confused. This wine is really refreshing. He took out a silver needle and secretly stabbed himself, hoping to relieve his hangover. Shit. Lin suddenly cursed in pain. Because my head was too dizzy and my hands were shaking, I stabbed him in the wrong place. Looking at Bellamy opposite, he held the wine jar in a daze and put wine into his mouth. Lin slapped his forehead hard and felt the dizziness getting stronger and stronger. This had never happened to him since he became an ancient warrior. Lin secretly thought that something was wrong. In this state he couldn't hold on any longer and took the opportunity to grab the scabbard. Old man Lin, you are so powerful. Come on, Bellamy couldn't even speak clearly. Old man, let me see the scabbard of the White Emperor Holy Sword. I'm very curious. Lin raised his chin and felt like he couldn't open his eyes. What are you looking at? If you marry my granddaughter and inherit the White Sword sect, everything will be yours. Bellamy said in a daze. But what do I mean? Lin suddenly scratched his head. Drink, right. Bellamy raised the wine jug. Yes, drink. Lin raised the wine jar. Bellamy and Bellamy carried lunchboxes full of side dishes. After arriving here, he found Lin already lying on a stone table. As for Bellamy, he fell directly to the ground and fell into a deep sleep. Good guys, the two of them drank 3 jars of wine. Bellamy was surprised. The wine his father made would make ordinary people drunk with just a drop. The average ancient warrior only has 1 or 2. Usually, his father only drinks a bowl of wine at most. In fact, today I drank a bottle and a half. Suddenly, Bellamy touched Bellamy with his shoulder. This is an opportunity. What opportunity? I won't take advantage of others. Bellamy said with a swollen mouth. Lin is our distinguished guest. You should send him to the room, Bellamy said with a smile. Leave your grandfather to me. After saying that, he put the lunchbox on the stone table and put Bellamy on it. Lihua carried him behind him and left here. Bellamy pursed her lips, but walked over, helped Lin up, and let him lie on his back. Lin's chin rested on Bellehua's shoulder. He narrowed his eyes and murmured, "Wife, you smell so good." "Who was your wife?" Bellehua suddenly blushed and quickly quickened her pace towards the stone palace where she lived. Arriving at the room, Bellehua placed Lin on the stone bed. He breathed a sigh of relief and patted his shoulder in disgust. "It smells very strong of alcohol. I want to smoke it." Lin suddenly turned around in a daze. "That." Bellehua didn't hear clearly and stretched her face. "Do you want to drink yogurt?" "Brush." Lin instinctively took Bellehua into his arms. Bellehua's eyes widened in panic. She grabbed Lin's shoulders and prepared to push him away. But Lin didn't do anything excessive. Pressing against his heart, his breathing gradually became stable. Bellehua extended her trembling hand and finally landed on the back of Lin's head. He had never felt like this before. "Honey, why do you turn your back on me?" Lin suddenly pushed Bellehua away. "Shit. I can't take it anymore," Bellehua cursed angrily. Chapter 620. Fake wine harms people. Bellehua grabbed Lin's ears and pushed him away. She immediately stood up and separated. Bellehua puffed her mouth, but still covered Lin with her quilt, then turned and left. After Lin opened his eyes, he looked around blankly. He took out his phone and looked at it, and his confusing thoughts suddenly became clear. "Damn, I slept here all night." Lin slapped his forehead hard, still feeling groggy. He didn't expect that wine made from natural materials and earthly treasures would be so powerful. Did I really advance? Lin looked at his hands in shock, letting ki flow throughout his body. He couldn't help but laugh. It was incredible. Obviously those heavenly materials and earthly treasures are not rare items, but they have such great medicinal effects. This time, when he returns, he plans to bring an altar with him. As for the pod, he also decided to speak directly. "Before, I wanted to save face because I didn't want to owe them any favors. It helped them a lot. Take a look at the case, it's a fair deal." He rubbed his head and walked out. There are already many young disciples training far away. Beilzhou found that Fen Lin was awake, so he walked over. Following his father's instructions, he began to act. Fen Lin, are you awake? Beilzhou greeted and then sighed deeply. Uncle, what's wrong with you? Fen Lin asked doubtfully. It's okay. After all, you're our benefactor. Just pretend that nothing happened. After Beilzhou finished speaking, he felt dejected again. What happened? Fen Lin became more and more strange. From what he meant, it seemed like he had done something. Hey, yesterday I asked Paula to take you back, and while you were drunk, give it, hey. Beilzhou smiled bitterly, waved his hands and said, okay, although this is the first time for Paula, maybe no. I may get married in the future. But you are drunk, it's not your fault. Uncle, don't lie to me, I'm a doctor, a drunk can't do such a thing. A little drunk, you may be under the influence of alcohol, which will excite your brain and do some extraordinary things. But Fen Lin, who fell immediately, was unable to get up. Furthermore, Beilzhou is in the realm of tempering. In his drunken state at the time, he was no match at all. Did I clean it? Beilzhou cursed in his heart and actually forgot about this incident. Fen Lin is a miracle doctor, so he really can't be fooled by this kind of thing. My dear nephew, you may have misunderstood. What I said for the first time is not that the rice is cooked before it is cooked, Beilzhou explained, it is that you regard my daughter as your wife and tear off her clothes. Everything that can be touched has been touched. After hearing this, Fen Lin's expression gradually became serious. Speaking of which, he had a dream that Zhu Ruan was vaguely next to him. Then it would be normal to do something outrageous. Uncle. Do not lie to me. Is it true? Fen Lin asked in a deep voice. I saw it with my own eyes, why did I lie to you? Beilzhou said helplessly, yesterday I sent my dad back and came to entertain you, and I saw you. Oh. Then what should it be? Yes. Fen Lin looked innocent, I don't know. It's because you don't know that we decided to forget it. Beilzhou retreated to move forward, Wawa girl doesn't want to get married. Our BG insect can support her. You don't have to feel pressure if you can afford it for the rest of your life. No, I have to make it clear to her. Fen Lin immediately followed up. His breathing and went to find Beilzhou. Beilzhou shook his head slightly. There was a lot he could do. It depends on whether Beilzhou is willing. However, as his biological daughter, he still understands Beilzhou's temper. Truthfully, Fen Lin sensed the aura of the early stage of tempering and arrived at the stone palace not far away. He entered and asked, Beilzhou, I have something to ask you. As Fen Lin spoke, he saw her standing in front of the mirror. With her buns loose and long hair hanging behind her. She was shirtless, looking at herself in the mirror. I'll clean it up. Fen Lin quickly turned around. Fuck you. Fen Lin, you are looking for death. Beilzhou's cheeks were like boiled hairy crabs. She grabbed the chair next to her and threw it to Fen Lin behind her. Fen Lin immediately escaped. After waiting for a full minute, Beilzhou walked out with his hands in his trouser pockets and a cold expression. The clothes are on, but the hair is still loose. You have no way here. If there's no way, why don't you shout outside? Beilzhou shouted coldly, and then exhaled. Forget it. Tell me, what's wrong? Fen Lin stared at Beilzhou's small face and told her what his father just said. Duh. Shameless, I'll take you to find him. Beilzhou blushed, he's lying to you. No, I don't think so either. Fen Lin smiled and waved his hand, even in a dream. I probably won't be interested in the tablets. As he spoke, he noticed Beilzhou's gloomy face. I won't break the engagement. Beilzhou suddenly pointed at Fen Lin and shouted, you want to break off the engagement with me? No way. Beilzhou, I was drunk and what I said was nonsense. I don't care if you're talking nonsense. I won't break the engagement. In the future, when you sleep with your wife, I will be by your side. Kill me if you can. Beilzhou looked at him angrily and then left angrily. This bastard is very hateful and usually quite confident in herself. She had only been in contact with Fen Lin for a day or two and began to have doubts about her figure. Don't you like it? From now on I will show you my wedding every day. Fen Lin immediately followed him. Hua, please leave. Don't retreat. Anyway, I don't plan to get married and I'm not afraid of being embarrassed. Beilzhou used her strength and left. Here quickly. Damn, fake wine is harmful to people. Fen Lin hit his head hard. Ha ha ha. Beilzhou's laughter could be heard from a distance. I was so focused on drinking yesterday that I forgot. Beilzhou took out the pot and threw it to Fen Lin, take the bottom part and practice more often. Thank you. Fen Lin caught the pot and said, "This one is for the type who and I are going to practice for a while, and I may have to postpone their marriage," Bailey said with a smile. Fen Lin could only agree temporarily. Maybe Bailey would just said it out of anger. After he calms down, he will agree to break the engagement. "Old man, can I bring you a jar of wine? Your stuff is so good. It feels so good when you drink it." Fen Lin was going to bring some to the second master. "Haha. I'll give you 3 flasks. My swordsmanship is not very good, but my brewing skills are unparalleled." Bailey took out the 3 space ring flasks. "Now that I have recovered from all my injuries, I will take the time to prepare more." "Thank you, old man." Fen Lin picked up the wine and bid them farewell. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. Fen Lin patted his head as he walked down the mountain. He drove Zuroin's Mercedes-Benz and prepared to return. After arriving at the ruins, chat with the second master first. And then starts working on double breaking dawn stop and stop far away on the side of the road. A female traffic police officer greeted Fen Lin and parked the car next to her. "It smells so strong, come and blow it." The handsome policeman waved the alcohol detector in his hand. At this moment, Fen Lin realized that he was driving drunk. Chapter 621 Meeting King Lily again. Fen Lin got out of the car very cooperatively and looked at the traffic policeman. She had short, straight hair, redder features, and a slanted figure. He looked like he had just graduated from college. Fen Lin smiled and took out a small notebook from his body. "Report the number of the steel seal." "What? You're a big shot, so you can drink and drive." "Damn." When Guqian Men saw this Mercedes-Benz S-Class, he immediately guessed the scene. "I'm special. Even if I'm very drunk, I won't make mistakes in my operation." Even though Fen Lin said that, he took the instrument and blew on it. Guqian Men looked at the numerical value above and was immediately confused. "More than 800. You don't have alcohol in your blood, you have blood in your alcohol. In 100 milliliters of blood, 20 milligrams of alcohol is considered drinking and driving. A score of 80 or higher is considered drunk driving and is a violation of the law. This man is over 800 years old and it's amazing that he can still stand up and talk. I already slept well at night." Fen Lin was helpless and could only follow her. "Ask your boss to send someone to you, it's only 2 hours away anyway. There's a very drunk driver here. Come help immediately," Guqian Men said to the communication device on her neck. "I don't need support, I will fully cooperate," Fen Lin said with a smile. "You're quite relaxed. You'll be detained if you act like this." Guqian Men looked at Fen Lin calmly. "No." Fen Lin smiled and shook his head. "I'm an undercover agent. I drank because I was with a prisoner. Now I need to follow him." "You said you were not drunk and started talking nonsense." Guqian Men shook her head slightly. Fen Lin did not explain further, he would wait until he saw his boss. Suddenly, Fen Lin looked towards the breakfast shop in the distance and there was a familiar figure there. Same month. He was carrying a small black backpack, wearing dark red sports clothes, and was buying breakfast in the distance. "Beauty, take out your phone." Fen Lin stretched out his hand and said, "What's wrong? Do you want to call home?" Guqian Men took out her cell phone and handed it to Fen Lin. Fen Lin picked up the phone, turned on the camera, and took a photo of his ID. "Here you go. When your boss asks you, show him his photo." Fen Lin put the phone in Guqian Men's pocket. "What do you mean? You want to run away, don't you?" Just as Guqian Men was speaking, Fen Lin, who was right in front of him, disappeared. He looked around, but there was no sign of Fen Lin and he thought he had seen a ghost. But luckily the car is here and it's easy to find. Fen Lin took out a hat and mask from the space ring. He hid his breath and followed Tong Yu. When he left with King Lily the same month, he did not expect them to hide in Jiangnan. Within the scope of the same month, Fen Lin could not be found. He walked down an alley and came to another residential street. Finally we walked to a small courtyard. The yard is not big and looks like Fen Lin's house in Changxing Village, Zhang City. Tong Yu jumped up and closed the door. Strange, is she the only one who lives here? Fen Lin did not sense anyone else's presence. At this moment, Fen Lin discovered that Tong Yu's aura had disappeared. Relics. Fen Lin frowned. After thinking for a moment, he immediately followed him and jumped into the courtyard. He and King Lily were not enemies, nor were Tong Yu and Lian Dai. It's time to learn about the so-called Jiao clan. If what King Lily said is true, she knows many secrets that shock the world. That Fen Lin can deceive us a bit. He entered the living room and found the bedroom door open. He immediately reached the bedroom and looked around. There was no hole. He closed his eyes and searched for traces of the formation. Finally, he reached the closet and opened the door. I found a square hole under the closet that lead to the floor. It's hidden quite well. As Feng Lin spoke, he jumped up. After about 20 meters of darkness, he appeared in a world full of flowers. The flowers of various colors are like a sea of flowers exuding fragrance. Cut. It's steamed buns again, and it's vegetarian. I almost vomited after eating it. I want to eat meat. Kim Lily put her hands on her hips and screamed with her mouth bulging. You said you wanted me to keep a low profile and didn't want me to steal money. Some of them are good to eat. That same month, he picked up a small steamed bun and stuffed it into his mouth. The cheeks were stretched like a little squirrel. Who? Kim Lily suddenly turned around and appeared in front of Feng Lin in the blink of an eye. Are you and Uncle? Lily, long time no see. Feng Lin smiled slightly. Tong Yu, who was eating steamed buns in the distance, also looked at him in surprise. Brother Feng Lin, you are following me. No way, it's a coincidence. Feng Lin smiled and spread his hands. Is there anyone else behind you? Kim Lily asked. No, I was passing by Baishi and saw Tao Yu shopping, so I followed her secretly. Feng Lin looked at the surrounding environment and saw a stream in the distance. Maybe this is fate, Kim Lizhim said, his eyes lighting up. Invite me to dinner, I want to eat meat. I want to eat too. Tong Yu in the distance spit out the buns in one bite. Where is Li and I? Feng Lin looked around, but there was no sign of Li and I. She was originally about to die, but I am only 60% sure of curing her. She is deep in the secret realm. Whether she is alive or dead will be known in about a month, Kim Lily pointed out in the distance. Secret Kingdom. Feng Lin looked a little confused. This kind of place was originally called a secret realm, but nowadays people can't build it. They can only use what's left from the previous sect, so you call it a ruin. Kim Lily hugged Feng Lin's arm. I want to eat meat. I also want it. Tong Yu ran over and hugged Feng Lin's other arm. Don't you have money? Feng Lin asked with a smile. No, I don't want to offend the Anhuang people. You are all a bunch of demons. Kim Lily puffed her lips. So where did your money come from? And where is the original owner of this house? Feng Lin looked at the two of them and asked. We robbed the bad guys with the money to buy this garden, but then all those bad guys ran away and the remaining gangsters knelt down when they saw us. They were quite pitiful and we had no source of income. Explained from the side. Actually, we shouldn't give money. This secret realm originally belonged to my previous generation. Kim Lily shook her head. Forget it, stop talking and take me to dinner. Feng Lin nodded, taking the opportunity to make a joke. He took the two to a restaurant not far away. Feng Lin ordered them a sumptuous meal. He sat across from them and watched them devour their food. Eat slowly, I won't grab it. Feng Lin raised his cheeks and smiled. Uncle, you are so kind to me. You are worthy of being the lover of my soul and body. Kim Lily's mouth was full, but she still said with a hesitant smile. That's right, Brother Feng Lin is the man I like. Tong Yu also smiled and said, Sister Kin, you have to promise me what I said before. What's wrong? Feng Lin asked. When Sister Kin regains her strength, kill all your wives and then we will be your wives, Tong Yu said with a smile while eating fried chicken legs. But Sister Kin doesn't plan to have children with you, but I do. Wailing. Feng Lin looking at Tong Yu's sweet smile, I got goosebumps. So you're here. At this moment, Guqian Men from before quickly walked in. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novellas, we cordially invite you to visit our channel. There you will find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 622 You Are My Family. Feng Lin did not expect this woman to catch up to him. He smiled and asked, have you shown your ID to your boss? I advise you to stay put. Your card has been impounded and we are notifying the owner. Guqian Men pointed to Feng Lin, follow me immediately. Hey, it's really troublesome. Feng Lin took out his mobile phone and called Lanny. As for ordinary people's affairs, Lanny can do it faster than Ji Guangling. Feng Lin, you haven't called me for a long time. Lanny smiled there. There are too many tasks recently. Feng Lin smiled and said, I am currently in Baishi, Jiangnan, and the traffic police are attacking me. Please call your boss. Jiangnan Baishi. It's okay, it will only take a few minutes. Lan agreed. Feng Lin also hung up the phone and looked at Guqian Men. Wait a few minutes. What do I have to wait for you? Do you think it's great that you meet important people? This is the age of the internet. If I expose your matter, your superiors will do it. The big shots will also suffer. Guqian Men is not afraid of these people. As soon as she took a step forward, Tong Yu's oily little hand grabbed her wrist. Sister, can you come out? Don't bother me and Brother Feng Lin remembering the old days. Tong Ju's big eyes curved into crescents with a smile. "You girl," Gu Qianmen was talking, her eyes wide. She felt like her wrist was being pinched with pliers and the pain was unbearable. The entire back of the hand turned purple. "Xiao Yu, stop." Fen Lin frowned and shouted. "Humph." Tong Ju let go of Gu Qianmen and continued eating fried chicken. Gu Qianmen couldn't believe it. This girl seemed to be only in the 5th or 6th grade of elementary school. It is very strong. At that moment his cell phone rang. He looked at the number and immediately replied, "Office Wang. The owner of this car is conducting a national secret mission. No obstructions are allowed and he will return to his post immediately." A majestic voice came from the other side. That. Gu Qianmen looked at Fen Lin in disbelief. What he just said was really true. "Let's go quickly. Remember to drive my car to your team. I'll pick you up later." Fen Lin greeted Gu Qianmen. Although Gu Qianmen was confused, he still obeyed the orders from above. Fen Lin was relieved when he saw her leave. "Lily, what is the god eye?" Fen Lin was about to start asking for information. "I don't know." Kim Lily shook her head. "You gave this to Jia Lan and you didn't know. I don't think you consider me one of yours." Fen Lin pursed his lips, pretending to be angry. "This thing was snatched by my previous generation. Anyway, it is not a good thing." As King Lily spoke, she clicked on Tong Yu who was eating. "Such evil things can be passed on to the next generation. Xiao Yu was that kind of aura." Fen Lin narrowed his eyes. He also knew about this, and Liu Yunan also had it. To be precise, they are all descendants of the original forefathers. "Where did you steal it?" Fen Lin asked. "A mysterious secret realm. I will definitely not tell you the location. There is no such thing as Dakan realm. Going there is just looking for death." Kim Lily leaned on the chair, patted her slightly bulging belly, and closed her eyes happily. "Have you heard of the Tantai family?" Fen Lin continued to ask. "Of course, they are hodgepodge, a poisonous snake hiding in the dark, with unfathomable strength." Kim Lily rubbed her belly and said, "However, they are very low-key and few people know them. The organization they established is even more famous." "Were you talking about nightmares?" Fen Lin asked in a deep voice. "That's right. All members of Nightmare are at the Dakan realm. They are equivalent to the spokespersons of the Tantai family." Kim Lily nodded. "So, do you know about nightmares?" Fen Lin's voice gradually became serious. "I should know, but I haven't seen him. I heard that he was the boss of Nightmare and then he disappeared. He is rumored to be dead." Kim Lily stretched and stood up from a seat. Tong Ju also wiped her mouth with a tissue and exhaled, "I'm so full. Lily, let's add a WeChat account, and I will send you red envelopes to support you in the future." Fen Lin smiled and took out his mobile phone. "I think my uncle wants to exchange information with me, right?" Kim Lily smiled and took out her mobile phone. "Money can't buy precious information." Fen Lin nodded with a smile. Fen Lin did not return to them. He took a taxi and arrived at the traffic police station, where he found Suroin's Mercedes-Benz parked outside the door. He walked over and Gu Qianmen from before was waiting at the side. "Your keys." Gu Qianmen walked over and handed the car keys to Fen Lin. "Thank you, you are a very responsible girl, do a good job." Fen Lin took the key and left. Returned to Fengshan. In front of the villa, on the top of the mountain, a Volta was parked. Fen Lin parked the car to the side and headed towards the ruins. From a distance, I saw Zhao and Yidan standing in the distance. They bought lots of gifts, including nice clothes and beauty products. He also specially gave Kakioki Island Wenmo a high-performance mobile phone worth 10,000 yuan. "Nephew, you're back," Zhao greeted Fen Lin. "Well, you're busy." Fen Lin nodded with a smile. Looking at Yidan next to her, her hair was dyed black, and with some makeup, she was much younger. Fen Lin walked towards Men Changsheng, who was not far away, and leaned on the armrest of his wheelchair. "Damn. This young man advanced in a single trip. Compared to you, I am complete loser." Men Changsheng smoked his pipe and left. "Even if the nightmare is rubbish, it is still a nightmare for countless people," Fen Lin said with a slight smile. Men Changsheng's smiling expression froze instantly. "Did Kai Jinyun tell you?" "Yes," Fen Lin nodded. "What do you think?" Men Changsheng took out his tobacco and asked calmly. "I don't have any feelings. I only know that you are very kind to me, a good old man, and that you give me a correct perspective on life." Fen Lin smiled and spread his hands. "I have spent more time with the second teacher than with my father. You are my family and this cannot be changed." Men Changsheng looked into the distance, his eyes a little dull. After a long time, he smiled bitterly and said, "Hey, when I get old, my mood will be affected by a brat like you. Life is short, enjoy the moment." Fen Lin smiled and took out 2 pieces of the space ring. "Wine jug, second master, this is good." As he said that, he opened a jar. Damn. The wine made by the White Sword sect. Men Chang Sheng smelled the aroma of wine and immediately raised a jug and took a sip. Ah. It feels so good. Haha, I got the bottom of this time, the White Emperor Holy Sword. When you have almost mastered her, go and deal with Dug Pa Zhao, Fen Lin said with a smile. Yangjing. In the courtyard. An old woman with white hair and eyes covered with a black cloth stood outside the door. She knocked gently. The steps with the guide lever in his hand, he walked up smoothly and came to the red door. He patted the door a few times. But it was not Li Jin who opened the door, but Kai Lin. "Excuse me, is Dug Lixia here?" Jin Fen Huang asked with a smile. "Here." When Dug Lixia heard the voice, he immediately got up from the wheelchair and walked to the door with a smile. He raised his eyebrows and said that he had known him for a long time. Seeing him for the first time, greeting others in person. Chapter 623 Wu Jin's new member. Kai Lin, this is my relative. Wait for Uncle Li at home and I will take her for a walk. Dug Lixia smiled at Kai Lin who was on the side. Okay. Kai Lin agreed. Dug Lixia walked forward, supported Jin Fen Huang, and turned to leave. Kai Lin didn't know why, but she always felt that this woman looked familiar. "Andy, why are you here in person? You could have made a phone call." Dug Lixia walked beside Jin Fen Huang in this deserted alley with one hand in his trouser pocket. "No one outside except the Tantak family knows about my relationship with you," Jin Fen Huang said with a smile. "Tools like the telephone are not trustworthy." "That's true. After all, communication devices belong to the state." Dug Don nodded slightly. "Your current side effects aren't getting worse, right?" Jin Fen Huang suddenly stopped. "No, I sit in a wheelchair all year round and a number of times I fight is pitiful," Dug explained with a smile at Dawn. "He doesn't just pretend to be in a wheelchair. Rather, it also belongs to the Tantak family. While some powerful racial powers are inherited, there will also be side effects." "That's good. Don't be like me. You have become blind. In front of me, you're just a human-shaped ball of ki." Jin Fen Huang chuckled. "No matter what I said, I was able to fascinate nightmares. The upside-down woman can't take care of my appearance now. Andy, you have almost no flaws in terms of body shape, temperament or appearance, except that you're a little older," Dug Lixia said with a smile. "Really?" Jin Fen Huang covered his cheek and murmured softly, "But it's normal. Even that woman couldn't compare to me back then. When did I lie to you? You can go to real humans and see, maybe they have the ability to restore your eyes." Dug Lixia smiled and spread his hands. "That's why I'm looking for you. I heard that you and Fen Lin are facing each other." Jin Fen Huang put away his frivolous smile. "Yes, Kai Lin right now is not a simple person. She knows a big secret of the Jia Li clan," Dug Lixia said in a deep voice. "I did all this just for her to see Fen Lin for the time being," Golden Phoenix said calmly. "Why?" Dug asked in the morning. "Because," Jin Fen Huang covered his neck, "this guy's origins are not simple. We can't act rashly until we investigate thoroughly. This is embarrassing. I'm afraid that if I don't move him, he'll find it on his own," Dug Pa Zhao said calmly. "You're so smart, you have many ways," Jin Fen Huang said with a smile. "According to the information I got, real humans have captured Zhu Gusu's descendants." "The Zhu family?" Dug whispered at Dawn. "Yes, the Tantak family has issued an order to capture this person." Jin Fen Huang patted Dug Lixia on the shoulder. "You can temporarily submit to the country and take the opportunity to focus their attention on the true human organization. The more chaotic it becomes, the easier it is for the Ang to act, right?" Dug asked in the morning. "Smart, I'm leaving." Jin Fen Huang tapped his guide stick on the ground, followed the alley, and disappeared at the far intersection. Fen Lin, interesting. The corners of Dug's mouth Pa Zhao rose slightly. Fen Lin is currently deep in the mountains, practicing the White Emperor Holy Sword. If the upper part is about sword control, the lower part is about swordsmanship. According to the introduction of the technique, these swords can be picked up. Fen Lin stretched out his hand, and the dark red sword gradually fell into his palm. He grabbed the hilt of the sword and gently shook it. The sword is made of ki, so Fen Lin can change his shape, but when he closed his eyes and began to inject, the dark red sword became longer and longer, reaching a total length of 10 meters. Interesting. He could help but laugh. In the past few days, in addition to practicing the White Emperor Holy Sword, Fen Lin was also learning formations. The enemy was pressing on his head, giving him motivation. This morning, Fen Lin received a call from the old man. I'm going to a meeting in Wujian, the headquarters of Yanjing. Originally, Fen Lin didn't plan to go, but the old man specifically told him that he had to go this time. Fen Lin was also curious. After returning to the ruins and explaining to everyone, Fen Lin left for Yanjing. Arrival in Yanjing. Fen Lin ran to the tea house in the old city without stopping. Along the way, he put on the mask of Dr. Doom. Quickly walked towards the ruins. I found that there were already many people here. Most of them are elderly people and there are probably more than 500 people here. Boy, here you go in the distance. Zhen Wenwen walked over with a smile and patted Fen Lin on the shoulder. Fen Lin asked with a smile, Old Zhen, what happened this time? I'll know soon. Zhen Wenwen led Fen Lin through the crowd and walked to the front. Fen Lin, the Doctor of Death, was always the center of people's attention, and many people whispered about him. Arriving at the front, Ji Guangling took the microphone and spoke to the camera in front of him. Can you hear the sound? Several staff members standing at a distance came over and nodded. Everything is working normally. All right. Ji Guangling smiled and looked around. Everyone, please be quiet. We still have some members who are guarding the base and can't come, so I will convey the news through this live broadcast. Fen Lin looked around and indeed, he didn't see Xiu Wenbo. However, he saw an acquaintance, Zhang Ziqing, from the Zhang family. That is Zhang Banxi's grandfather. This time we will hold an uninterrupted meeting, mainly new members will join. Ji Guangling took the microphone and said with a smile, First place, come out. In the distance, a tall man in a black skirt jumped out of Ji Guangling's hairy woman courtyard. This woman is wearing a mask that looks like a female opera mask. Fen Lin raised his eyebrows in surprise. This woman was actually in the early stages of temperament. Looking at his hands, he should be under 35 years old. Due to mission requirements, I will not say her name. From now on, everyone can call her by her code name, Huadan. Ji Guangling smiled and patted the woman on the shoulder. Lo. Huadan nodded slightly and went to Fen Lin, come this way. She took the initiative to extend her hand and said with a smile, I have heard of the name of Dr. Death. Nice to meet you. Hello. Fen Lin also extended his hand. His voice was very clear. And he sounded like he was about 30 years old. Huadan shook hands with Fen Lin and then took the initiative to stand next to Fen Lin. Because of the mission, not everyone can know Huadan, but everyone must know the next one. Ji Guangling smiled and turned around, come out. Brush. In an instant, Dr. Zhao, dressed in a suit, gold-rimmed glasses, and white bandages, was already standing next to Ji Guangling. This one, you don't need to introduce me too much, right? Ji Guangling smiled and looked around. The number 1 on the heavenly list. Dr. Zhao. What? Is Emperor Yi finally joining Wujian? I heard that the King of Hell who was ranked 3rd in the heavenly ranking is at the Dakan realm, so the one ranked 1st should have the strength. How much? Everyone around was shocked and spoke. Of it. Chapter 624 Tang Hong is injured. Fen Lin's mask blocked his ugly expression at this moment. Could this breaking dawn be intentional? You knew you were going to get it, so you joined Wujian. But this is too cowardly. Fen Lin always felt that he had other intentions. Fen Lin understood what the old man meant by asking him to come today. Ji Guangling must have wanted to be an intermediary to allow the two of them to put aside their hatred for the moment. Hello everyone, I am W. Pa Zhao. Starting today, I will officially join Wujian. W. Pa Zhao looked around with a smile and finally his eyes fell on Fen Lin. Everyone around him was whispering that with the addition of such a master, Wujian's combat power would be even stronger. Since the number 1 in the heavenly ranking was added to Wujian, his name will be removed from the heavenly ranking. Ji Guangling looked around with a smile, if you have new powerful people, remember to tell them. In the next few days, I will reorganize the rankings in the heavenly ranking. The order of the list. Zhao Zhang, Zhao Zhen, you two are responsible for compiling the list. Ji Guangling looked at Zhang Ziqing and Zhen Wenwen respectively. Okay. They both nodded. Dr. Death, come here. Ji Guangling put the microphone on the table, turned and left. Dr. Lixia followed him. I know. Fen Lin said helplessly and followed him. Huadan looked at Fen Lin's back, his eyes narrowed into a thin line. The depths of the ruins. Ji Guangling smiled and patted Fen Lin on the shoulder. Take off the mask, there is no one around. What the old man means is that Dr. Lixia is not a human being. Although Fen Lin said so, he still took off the mask. People already know who you are. Ji Guangling rolled his eyes. I found out about you from W. Ping Zhao and I don't blame you for this. Fen Lin pursed his lips. Isn't this nonsense? Me. I'm very honest. People. So I discussed it with Dr. Pajao before and asked him to apologize to you. Ji Guangling looked at Dr. Pajao. Fen Lin, it's my fault that I keep sending people to kill you, but you also have to understand me. If you destroy the Zhang family, if I don't take action, people will always laugh at you. Dr. Lishao lowered his head slightly. I was forced. We ancient warriors didn't bother saying such cliches. It was the Zhang family who provoked me in the first place. I tolerated it repeatedly, but they got into trouble. Fen Lin put his hands in his pants pockets. It's okay. Boy, I already apologized, not to mention that it didn't cause you any substantial harm. For my sake, forget it. Ji Guangling looked at Fen Lin and said, You have said it, what else can I do? Fen Lin nodded, simply because Dr. Lixi did not attack anyone around him. If he is like the people of the Dragon Palace, he is playing tricks. Fen Lin would never agree. In the worst-case scenario, he would abandon Wu Jin and find a way to kill him. Okay, let's leave this matter between the two of you. Ji Guangling smiled and looked at Dr. Pajao. You go back first, I'll wait for your information. Senior, don't worry. Dr. Pajao gently pushed up his gold-rimmed glasses. Fen Lin, goodbye. After saying that, he left here. Watching him walk away, Fen Lin asked in a deep voice, Old man, do you really believe him? He has a close relationship with the Jili people. Do you still have the nerve to talk to others? I received news that the Empress, for your sake, but does not hesitate to offend the military leader. Ji Guangling pursed her lips. Oh, no. Old lady, do you doubt me? I hid around the Empress to make them fight each other. You hurt my heart too much. Fen Lin looked sad. Do you dare to say that you don't covet other people's bodies? Ji Guangling asked with a smile, then why don't you hide next to the military leader? What the hell? Fen Lin rolled his eyes. The Empress is conservative. It's easier to hide. Don't explain. The explanation is just a cover-up. Furthermore, I know Delta Pingzhou City better than you. Ji Guangling waved his hand gently, but he, a master, is willing to provide information about the dark cult and true humanity. Are you still willing to go there and destroy it yourself? It's you, will you refuse? Real human being. Fen Lin's eyes widened. Did he say he wanted to go there in person? Yes, but he alone can't destroy the headquarters. But at least eliminate our Chinese branch first. Ji Guangling looked at Fen Lin. You should have a deep understanding of what this scum has done, right? Of course. Fen Lin looked gloomy. It's one of his victims. He also promised the fourth son to avenge him. Then you will refuse? Ji Guangling asked with a smile. Fen Lin shook his head. As for the real human mission, if you need me, call me. Yes, Ji Guangling agreed. Fen Lin put on his mask again. Old man, if nothing happens, I will leave. Ji Guangling nodded. Old Zhen, Senior John, I will retrieve first. Fen Lin greeted the two of them. Okay. Go slowly. The two nodded to Fen Lin at the same time. Fen Lin left the ruins and prepared to leave. For this he stopped suddenly, turned around and said, Why are you following me? Behind Fen Lin was the new member, Wu Dan. Senior Death Doctor handles his interpersonal relationships well. His strength is not that good, but he knows many masters. Wu Dan walked over with a smile in his voice slightly mocking. Fen Lin smiled slightly, didn't talk to her anymore, and prepared to leave. Leave now. According to rumors, Dr. Death is decisive in the assassination. Shouldn't he teach me a lesson? Wu Dan followed him and sneered. Or, seeing the gap between you and me, I was too scared to take it. I didn't provoke you, did I? Fen Lin frowned. No. Without me, I can't scold you, a scumbag who always gives up but always gives up. Wu Dan sneered. Starting with chaos and ending with abandonment. Where do you start talking about this? Fen Lin asked doubtfully. I think there are too many women, have you forgotten? Wu Dan reminded, do you remember Lian? Grandma. That stinky woman is talking nonsense again. Fen Lin cursed secretly. Since the last time she took the Ashes Holy Goo, she has not contacted him again. I didn't expect to corrupt my character behind my back. Do you think I will believe you? You're a scumbag who has played tricks on others, asked them to have an abortion, and then turned his back on them and refused to admit it. Wu Dan pointed at Fen Lin and cursed. Is she doing this too? Fen Lin was speechless. Do modern-day conspirators like to use this trick to gain sympathy? I'm too lazy to talk nonsense with you. Go back immediately and ask any member of Wu Jin to see who they say Liu Nian is. After Fen Lin finished speaking, he disappeared here. How fast? Wu Dan was startled and immediately jumped onto the wall and looked around, but actually moved away from under his eyes. He hesitated for a moment and prepared to go back and ask about Yunnan. Fen Lin took the plane and returned to Yun City. It seems like some people have been busy during this time. As long as Doug handed over the branch location of Dawn, Fen Lin was ready to go with Lao Si to deal with him. As soon as he got off the plane, Fen Lin's phone rang. "What's wrong, wife?" Fen Lin asked with a smile when he saw that it was Zhu Ruan's call. "Fen Lin, quickly go to the company, and Tang Hong is injured." Zhu Ruan's voice was very urgent. "What?" "I'll run right away." Fen Lin immediately stopped a taxi. "What's going on?" "And Tang Hong said those people are looking for me." Zhu Ruan's voice was choked with sobs. Chapter 625 Zhu Ruan's Crisis. Fen Lin's face gradually solidified. "Where are you now?" "I have arrived at the urban area of Yun City," Zhu Ruan responded. "There. First find a place to stop." "The other person is probably a real human being," Fen Lin said in a deep voice. The Dragon Palace was destroyed and a temporary truce was again broken by Dahu. The only enemy is Li Henshin. But until now, he has not taken the initiative to take care of himself. How could it be possible to find Zhu Ruan from the beginning? Therefore, the purpose of those people was not themselves. Then what should I do? Zhu Ruan asked anxiously. "I'm looking for you." "Where are you?" Fen Lin motioned to the driver to start driving. "I'm at the China World Trade Center," Zhu Ruan replied. "Master, go to Guoma now." Fen Lin smiled at the driver. More than 10 minutes later, Fen Lin arrived at Guomedao, sensed Zhu Ruan's aura, and ran over immediately. He sat in the passenger seat and looked at Zhu Ruan's pretty and anxious face. "Don't be nervous, you can go now." "Okay." Zhu Ruan stepped on the accelerator and ran towards the company immediately. On the road near the company, Fen Lin felt a spiritual realm. He scoffed, and it was exactly as he assumed. These people just wanted to attract Zhu Ruan. However, their intelligence was lagging behind and they did not know who was protecting Zhu Ruan. As expected, you are hiding in the company. You'd better be careful in the future, otherwise you will meet your parents. Fen Lin smiled slightly at Zhu Ruan. "How long have you been laughing?" Zhu Ruan looked at Fen Lin. "Laughter is just an expression and has nothing to do with mood." Fen Lin shook his head gently. Even when he was extremely angry, he couldn't help but smile. The car was parked in the company parking lot. Zhu Ruan and Fen Lin got off the car together and found that the glass door of the office building in the distance had been destroyed. There was debris everywhere. "Mr. Zhu. I'm sorry." The security captain in the distance lowered his head apologetically. "It has nothing to do with you, just be careful next time." Zhu Ruan shook her head. The other party was an ancient warrior, and these security guards were definitely no match. "You go in first." Fen Lin suddenly patted Zhu Ruan on the shoulder and turned around immediately, looking at the middle-aged man in a suit who appears next to him. The middle-aged man stared at Zhu Ruan and was about to act when he suddenly felt his body tremble. The violent impact made his internal organs appear displaced. He stared in disbelief, and just as he was about to fall, Fen Lin put his arms around his shoulders. "Hello, brother." Fen Lin grabbed the man's shoulders and walked towards the back of the company. "Oh." Fen Lin stepped on the outdoor air conditioning unit and jumped continuously, finally reaching the roof of the company's high-rise building. "Tell me who you are." Fen Lin let go of the middle-aged man. His legs weakened and he fell. "There is a master like you next to Zhu Ruan." The middle-aged man was horrified. It turned out that he had just been injured by the opponent's ki. "Stop sighing. A little person like you is ignored in my eyes. As long as you answer my questions, I might let you go." Fen Lin put his hands in his trouser pockets and asked calmly, "Is this true?" The middle-aged man asked in a deep voice. "I never tell lies," Fen Lin replied expressionlessly. "I am from the True Humanity Organization. I received an order from above to capture Zhu Ruan." "The reason," Fen Lin said lightly. "She is Zhu Gusa's granddaughter. In genetics, inheritance between generations often has genes that direct children do not have." After the middle-aged man said this, he paused and said, "I don't know about the others. Fen Lin is a doctor. Naturally understand this common sense. Genes are divided into dominant and recessive, among which genetic diseases are the most common. Sometimes sons and daughters don't do it, but grandchildren do." "Did you also capture Zhu Ruan's parents?" Fen Lin asked. "Yes, but we have secretly sent your parents to the overseas headquarters," said the middle-aged man. "In other words, are you from the Huaxia branch?" Fen Lin frowned. "Where is the address?" "They see you have one more chance." Fen Lin's voice became colder. "Have mercy. When I was remodeling my heart, an accident occurred. I need injections to improve the tissue every month. If the tissue is destroyed, I will die." "Brush." Fen Lin waved his hand gently and a dark red dagger pierced his neck. He stared and fell. "If you don't tell me, you will die now," Fen Lin murmured in a low voice. He raised his hand and ashes holy goo floated from his palm, swallowing the corpse and blood on the ground. Fen Lin jumped down from above and arrived at the company lobby. Zhu Wang asked the staff to broadcast the surveillance to the screen next to the hall. Fen Lin was also nearby and watching. After realizing that the previous man had said a few words to Tang Hong, he punched Tang Hong. Knock her out and hit the back wall. Tang Hong spit out a mouthful of blood and fainted on the spot. "Mr. Zhu, that man asked you if you were there." Manager Tang simply said that you were not there and immediately took action. The young employee next to him cried and wiped away her tears. "Where is Manager Tang?" Zhu Wang asked calmly. On the office sofa, the employee immediately led the way. Fen Lin also followed him. Arriving at the nearby office, Tang Hong was sitting on the black sofa, still in a coma. Zhu Wang turned to the clerk and said, "You go out first." "All right." The employee closed the door. Fen Lin immediately stepped forward and grabbed Tang Hong's wrist. Zhu Wang asked from the side, "Are you okay? It doesn't endanger your life." After Fen Lin finished speaking, he placed his hand in front of Tang Hong. "Shit. What are you doing?" When Zhu Wang saw this, she immediately grabbed Fen Lin's arm. "Shameless, you took advantage of Aunt Tang. But your grandmother." Fen Lin rolled his eyes and pushed Zhu Wang away. And checked his pulse. The fracture cannot be detected. His hand was in front of Tang Hong, pressing inch by inch, and finally stopped in one place. "The ribs are slightly fractured." I took off his clothes. Fen Lin let go of Tang Hong and took out the bone-healing medicinal materials from the space ring. "Are you going to give him medicine?" Zhu Wang lowered her head and asked in a low voice. "Nonsense, without medicine, it won't heal in 10.5 days. Fen Lin took out a small bowl and began to refine it. "You can't watch." Zhu Wang pointed at Fen Lin and shouted. "I'm doctor. When I treat a disease, even you are just a pig in my eyes." Even though Fen Lin said this, he still turned away. "You're an idiot." Zhu Wang puffed her lips and untied Tang Hong's office clothes. Underneath was a white shirt and he undid a few more buttons. "I'm going to clean up." Zhu Wang was secretly surprised. Tang Hong's model was not small. Judging from his appearance, he should be at the level of the 36th emperor. Fortunately, her daughter did not inherit her figure, otherwise, she would have been a powerful opponent for her. "Okay," Fen Lin shouted. "Do not move." Zhu Wang immediately walked over and tightly covered Fen Lin's eyes with both hands. "Make him turn around." "Hey, problem." Fen Lin leaned over, stretched out his hand to touch the sofa, and finally squatted in front of the sofa. His hand fell in front of Tang Hong, searching for the broken bones. Suddenly, Fen Lin's expression changed. "Honey, if I said it was because of her large area that I accidentally bumped into her, would you believe it?" End of this chapter. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This story is completely available on Patreon. I invite you to subscribe and enjoy all the content.